I try not to open the show complaining. I really don't. But I saw an article this morning, and then I learned some new information from Lonzo right before we went on the air, or Chris, or whoever. It's all a blur. Number one, Lonzo, I saw an article. That one particular brand of car. Now, I won't tell you exactly what car it is, but the brand name's made up by 3 letters, and it's from Germany. They offered heated seats in their car. You have heated seats in your car? You got a fancy car.
Not in this one. The last car I had had them. Yeah.
Heated seats are a game changer, right? Specifically around like January.
Yeah. They especially help if you live in the north.
Mm-hmm. Heated seats are a game changer. This company, Lonzo, has just created a situation where you can buy your car with the gear in it for heated seats, right? So the car comes with the machinery and the hardware and the software and all of that for your seats to be heated, which, frankly, pretty sweet. Except for if you would like to utilize the heated seats, courtesy of this company, you now have to pay a monthly subscription cost.
I saw this a couple of days ago when the story broke, and I think it comes down to if you can afford that particular brand of car, you can afford that. I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you should. It's kind of messed up, but if you can afford that, you could probably afford to pay that.
It's not so much like I'm not doing this because I feel bad for the owners of this particular brand of car. What drives me crazy about this,
who for the most part are excellent people. There's one parked in the parking lot right now.
Yeah, and this is not me judging you if you've bought this particular type of car. I'm very aware, and I gotta say, I assume this would drive that individual crazy as well. The problem that I have here, ultimately, is that big time companies have figured out why sell you the thing if they can resell you the thing every month until you die, right? Now, granted, you might hit me back with, well, Rob, think about it this way. What if they charged you $10,000 to add that? Well, I wouldn't buy the car.
I think the overall problem with this is not that this particular brand is doing it, but that other brands will go, okay, they're doing it. Yep. We're going to do it too. So it's going to filter down to cars that we can afford.
Yep. It's 100% correct. 100% correct. In the next handful of years, if people buy this and pay that subscription cost for heated seats, instead of just going, just give me the damn heated seats.
Does it make the cost of the car go down? If it makes the cost of the car go down, then I'm okay with it.
I'm going to say it doesn't. And here's the other part. If you don't buy the subscription up front, you can pay more. You can buy the subscription later, except for this. Now, my car, I have to carry around all of the equipment to make my seats heated. Now, it probably isn't all that much, maybe like an extra 2-3 pounds worth of gear into your car. But now I got to burn my gas to carry around hardware that I don't want to use because I'm not paying you a subscription cost, which means I still got to pay for the gas. Listen, people, ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. If somebody tries to sell you something for a subscription that you have never had to subscribe to before, don't do it. Subscriptions I get, Zoe, for like streaming services on the internet or services that, provide you with 100,000 video games to pick from and you can pick and choose and go as you wish. That's all good. But no, man. Just let me have heated seats as an option to pay for, or let me not do that and nothing else, please and thank you. That's it. That's my rant. Hurricane Jim texts in, says, my Ford Explorer has heated seats. It's a 2013 model. Yeah, because in 2013, no greedy butthole thought, I bet I could get way more money out of this if I made people pay month to month to get it. Somebody yesterday was like, let me, what if we do this, Rob? What if you just paid the subscription costs in November, December, January, and February? Like, just give me the heated seats and let me use them whenever the hell I want to, right?
Yeah, because sometimes, in the middle of the spring, you may come out, it's kind of a cool morning, and you want your seat warmed. You should be able to do that.
You hit the gym, your back's sore one day, you get a little heat therapy on the drive home from the gym. I mean, not me, but like you maybe, right? What a joke. What a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the Rob Brown Shows on the radio. I am Rob Brown. Happy Tuesday to you. Sitting directly across from me on the other side of the metaphorical glass, he is the best producer in the state of South Carolina. He is the great one, the Sultan of Swag, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave, the Alpha and the Omega, the Fan Upstate, the Conductor of the Symphony of Sound. That is the Rob Brown Show. He is Lonzo at the helm. What up, Zo?
My intro is getting longer than Roman Reigns. I didn't think that was possible.
I mean, I do it better than Paul Heyman, so it is.
I don't know who I'm kidding. Roman Reigns barely hit the ramp during that time.
Speaking of, I know who the weird commercials on Raw are for. Do you? Have you figured it out? I figured it out. Last night. I figured it out last night.
It's Edge.
Yeah, it's Edge. Kind of took the fun out of it, didn't it? Like, all right.
It's because you wanted it to be somebody else.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. We'll talk wrestling later on in the show. But between here and there, we got a lot of stuff to get into. Home run derby last night. Listen, it was ultimately won by Juan Soto. And Juan Soto was an absolute a slugger last night.
I need to correct you. Soto.
Juan Soto. Yes, General Soto. Juan Soto won the home run derby last night, but Juan Soto did not win the hearts and minds of America like another young man did. Let's start with this. Juan Soto was good last night, all right? Juan Soto was good. He was enjoyable. I enjoyed watching him go dinger after dinger. But at the end of the day, the guy last night that made everybody in the game go, oh my goodness, was Seattle's Julio Rodriguez. Because Julio was a friggin' mash monster last night. Dude hit 64 dingers before the finals, my guys. Put it this way. Coming into last night's home run derby, Lonzo, there had been, in the history of the event, 4 30 home run rounds. 4 in the history of the derby. 4 times had somebody hit 30 or better. Julio did it twice last night. And then didn't win.
Yeah, but there's a pacing thing. There's a pacing problem. I mean, he was killing it in the first round. And all I'm thinking of, that dude's going to burn himself out. There's no way he can keep this pace. And then he does it again. It's like, okay, can he do it in the finals? And he could not. He could not. He got tired. And, they're just swinging the bat. How can he? Do you see the velocity, how much he was putting into those swings? Dude was killing it, and he was consistent for so long. You just got to learn how to pace yourself, and I think it was kind of a rookie mistake.
I'm going to tell you what I think happened. Julio Rodriguez had a massive disadvantage. He had to go first every round. Going first is a disadvantage. Now, Pete Alonso said, who, of course, had won it back-to-back and was trying to go for 3 last night, Pete Alonso said he would rather go first, right? He said he'd rather go first. And I get it. Everybody's going to face pressure a different way. If you're going first, there's no number to set. Or no number to reach. You get in your rhythm. You do what you can do. If you go second, there's a number in your head. And that's what happened to Pete Alonso. If you go second, there is a number in your head. Julio Rodriguez was at 31 when Pete Alonso came to the dish. So Pete Alonso knew he had to mash 31 to get to the swing off, 32 to win. And again, 4 rounds of 30 in history. Julio had a pair. Pete Alonso had to add one just to tie. Just to tie. So he just wasn't anywhere close, man. Wasn't anywhere close. Julio Rodriguez was a mash monster, but because he had to go first in the first and the second round, he had to go deep into the run, right? Like he had to go. He got Corey Seager in the first round, and Corey Seager obviously, Corey Seager had what, 24 in the first round, right? I asked Lonzo if and I will ask you now, if you go up for your AB in the opening round of the Derby, Lonzo, do you go up there with a number in your head that says, when I get to this number, I'm going to cool off? Right? When I get to 23, 24, 25, 26, do you find out what the average number of dingers hit in the opening round is? And when you get to that number, slow down. Not stop, but slow down. Do you go average plus 5? When I get to 24 plus 5, 29, that's when. Is there a number in your head when you go first that you say, when I get to this number, I'm going to slow down so that I can have some stamina left for late in the game? Because Julio didn't. Julio kept mashing, but remember, Seager had 24, and in the second round, he came up against a 2-time champion who got to go second. You know Pete Alonso is a machine, right? So if you go up there and you go, I'm going to chill at 22, Pete Alonso's hit 22 multiple times. You can't, right? Julio's direct disadvantage was having to go first in both rounds. If he goes second in either round, Lonzo, I think he wins that thing last night. If he goes second and can save himself a little bit by stopping at 23, 24, 25 instead of 31, 32, I think he's got a little bit of gas left off in the final round.
I get everything you're saying, and it was exciting, and so going into that final round, you think he's got this, but then you could just see him getting tired. You could just see it happening, and it's like, oh man, to do all that he did all the way through to the end and then not have enough left at the very end, this dude's going to be back. I think he'll learn his lesson next year and win the whole thing. Soto,
you know where it is next year? Soto
was very consistent.
Yep, 100%. By the way, the All-Star game next year is in Seattle. Julio will be back.
So I noticed you posted on Twitter something about the national anthem. And
it was so bad, dude.
And I just want to address that you're absolutely right. It was cringeworthy. Not since Roseanne Barr or maybe Sierra have I heard anything so bad. And
so it wasn't just me.
Oh no, it was bad. And when the announcer at the end,
what a chilling moment.
Yeah.
It's hot in LA, but we've all got chill bumps after that moment.
When they're showing some of the players closing their eyes, and some people think, well, they're just being reverent. No, they were trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
They were trying their best not to laugh.
Listen, because of course, the message I get, I sent it out. I waited about 10, 15 minutes, and I said, all right, it's been long enough. That national anthem was bad, right? And not like bad, right? Because here's the thing.
But it was consistently bad. It wasn't
start to finish. It was bad.
It wasn't like he hit some bad spots like Carl Lewis or someone. No, this was
bad.
It was bad from the very first note.
Oh yeah, it was bad, dude. It was bad. So the guy starts, and I gotta say, I gave him a little bit of leeway at the beginning, right? Because I'm like, all right, maybe his in-ear monitors went out and he couldn't hear because he was singing it with the stadium organ. Maybe his in-ear monitors went out, or if he had field monitors, maybe they were lower than he thought they were. Because I've done that before, where you set your monitors on stage, but when the band plays, you're like, oh, I can't hear my monitor, which means I can't hear me, which means, God, I hope I'm doing this right.
And it's worse in the stadium because you're also getting the
echo bouncing from everywhere, right? So I thought, all right, maybe his monitors went out. But then when they got 30, 35 seconds in the song, I'm like, no, the timing is perfect, right? The timing's perfect. This kid just can't sing, right? And I get the message immediately. Well, Rob, if you are going to criticize him, why don't you sing the nat? No. My ability not to sing does not mean I can't recognize when somebody else also can't sing. Sorry, it doesn't. I don't have to be a Michelin star chef to realize this steak is burnt, right? If somebody brings me a burnt steak, I don't have to be able to kick a perfect souffle to recognize your food sucks, dude, right? And here's what I'm driving.
So
at.
you weren't called like old man who doesn't you just don't like him because he's young or anything like that.
No, and that's why I asked the question instead of made the statement. It wasn't just me being old man who used to be a musician. That was genuinely a bad rendition of the anthem, right?
It was pretty bad.
All right,
yeah.
and that's what I'm asking, because here's the thing. During the, what was it, the NBA Finals? No, was it the Super Bowl? I don't remember. During one of the events in the last handful of months, the national anthem was performed by effectively a jazz band, right? Like they had a girl singing, but like the anthem was like kind of jazzed up with piano and a drum and a cello player or upright bass, whatever. And I got on Twitter, people were like, that's bad. I'm like, no, because here's the thing about the anthem. I think it's a beautiful thing about the anthem. The anthem is everybody's song. And so to have the anthem played in different styles and genres and fashions, right? Because I sing it how it's written. No. You sing it the way it reflects your culture, because all of these cultures are what make up the melting pot of America.
Well, they're not changing the words. I mean, if you change the words, that's a problem.
Different story.
But it's an interpretation.
Right.
It's like taking a song and making it your own.
Right.
Now, you can make it a horrible rendition,
Sure.
and it's your own, and you're going to get criticism. But this guy tried to sing it straight.
Yeah.
Right, and it just wasn't.
It was just bad singing.
It
right?
wasn't good.
So here's the thought, and I know that people are going, what the hell, why are we talking about this? Here's my thought, right? Major League Baseball last night has its home run derby. It is one of its spectacles of the halfway break, right? You've got this spectacle going on. And Lonzo, how many baseball games have you watched this year? Like, put it on your schedule to sit down and watch a game. Right, exactly.
0.
Exactly.
I mean, but it's well known. I'm not a baseball guy.
Not a baseball guy.
So I mean, but I always watch this. Even though you asked me, kind of, are you going to watch it? Kind of suggesting that I watch it. But I was already going to watch it anyway. Admittedly, I was playing a game when the anthem started, and I stopped. I stopped doing what I was doing and devoted my entire attention to it. And I was thinking, okay, is this as bad as I think it is? This is pretty bad. It's consistently bad. Again, dude was bad through the whole thing. There was never a note where I went, okay, he's going to get it back. No, it was just bad the whole time.
So, yes, to all of that, it was bad, right? And I don't mean to bag on that young kid, but like, dude, the reason I bring it up
he's there for a reason. He probably has a hit song or something, but in this case, I am old and I don't care.
Listen, I'm not so removed from the youths that when they bring it, like usually when they're like, it's Emmy-nominated recording star so-and-so, I'm like, I don't know his stuff, but like I know that guy, right? Like they had Bad Bunny carry the All-Star or the Home Run Derby trophy, and I'm like, I know Bad Bunny, right? Like I know the big names. I don't know who the hell this kid was. And again, I don't care. Here's where I'm coming from.
You know what? If you can sing, you can sing.
If you can sing, you can sing. Yeah. I don't care who. If I've never heard it, there was a young lady at the Liberty game. I wish I'd have caught her full name. LaRonda was her first name, from around here, who sang one of the best renditions of the national anthem I've heard since Whitney. I mean, it was like I listened to her sing it at a Greenville Liberty soccer game, and I'm like, why are you here and not the NFL playoffs? Like that was spectacular, right? So I bring this up for a reason. I bring this up because the All-Star game had its if you want to call it gimmick, its gimmick last night, right? And so you got guys like Lonzo who maybe don't schedule baseball. Like if there's a good game on and they happen to be flipping channels and Mike Trout's up, maybe you'll grab their attention for a minute, but they're not like scheduling to sit down and watch a baseball game, but they would schedule to sit down and watch the Derby because it's fun, it's different, right? And you're trying to get eyeballs on that product because what you have an opportunity to do last night is take Julio Rodriguez, a rookie, Juan Soto, the second youngest by a single day to ever win a Derby. You got old guys like Albert Pujols, right? You got classic baseball players like Pete Alonso. You got mashers like Kyle Schwarber. Thank you very much, Kyle, because now I've got it. Okay, you get it. You got all these different guys of baseball. You're featuring your stars, which is something that baseball struggles to do. And what do? You blow the intro. You got a terrible national anthem. You got to take 35 minutes to explain the damn rules, right? Like you had all these people tuning in, and baseball's intro to the intro to All-Star break was that. And it started off with a rendition of the national anthem so bad that it caught my attention. Right? It's like national anthem usually, I'm sorry, go ahead and get mad at me. It's fine. But like usually if I'm at the house and the national anthem comes on for the TV, like, all right, it's the national anthem. Legit question, how many of you get off your couch and stand up for the anthem? Very few of you, if any. This one was so bad that I literally had to like.
But that doesn't mean you detest it and you purposefully leave the room or anything like that.
What I said was, unless it is a tremendous rendition or a rendition that's really different from the traditional version of the anthem, it doesn't catch most people's attention. Like, go to a Super Bowl party when the anthem. Well, that's not a fair comparison. Go to a watch party of any event at a bar. Right? Just any event. And watch when the anthem starts. The majority of people like, that's your last crack to hit the restroom before the game starts. That's your last crack to get another beer before the game starts. Last night's rendition was not, let me walk and get my wings out of the air fryer. Which I did, by the way. Phenomenal. Wings in the air fryer, big fan. It was not, let me hit the head one more time before the 8 seed comes up. Last night very much was, this is so bad. Like, why? And that was baseball's introduction to a who knows what number of fans like Zoe that you're trying to catch their attention. You're trying to give them young players or veteran heroes to go, I like this guy, I'm supporting that guy. Maybe I'll tune into some Seattle games moving forward to watch Julio. And you hit him with that out the gate.
Should he apologize?
The guy singing the anthem?
For doing a bad job?
No.
Because very well, it could have been technical issues, and that's the reason why.
Absolutely could have.
When he was singing it, he may have thought he was killing it.
Absolutely could have.
Maybe it was the organ player's fault. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Listen, I played the wrong key on stage. We've all done it, right? We've all hit that wrong note, and everybody else in the band turns and gives you the look. You're like, oh man.
Yeah, I love that look.
Sorry, boys, couldn't hear my monitors.
It's awesome. We've
all done it. But if you're just tuning in and you've never been in that game before, you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, let me take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute from right now. Texter said, I feel like Rob did last week with no AC after that 79th minute of the U.S.-Canada game last night. I got a breakdown of U.S. women's national team v. Canada last night because the U.S. women's national team is in the 2024 Olympics. Bucket! They're going. They win the CONCACAF W side, knocking off Canada. Canada and Jamaica will play for the final CONCACAF spot in the Olympics, but the women are qualified again. We'll talk more about that later in the show. When we come back, every now and then, somebody in the biggest spot says something that makes me feel brilliant. Kirk did. I'll tell you what Kirk said when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
Be right back, stream. All right, dudes. Trey, what's up, buddy? Welcome in. Yeah, a lot of so the NFL had to approve the change this year for teams to use alternate helmets. Panthers are going with one. The Saints are going all black this year, which I'm pretty excited about. It's got potential. Let's go here. I'll pull it up so everybody on the stream can see it.
I cannot hide.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna wait for Lonzo to come back too. We're gonna wait for Zoe to come back and do a breakdown of the video of this helmet. Yeah, I like the black helmet, Trey. I don't like the black helmet with an all-white uniform though, right? Like I would have preferred if you were gonna put it with an all-white uniform, I'd have preferred you go a white alternate helmet, right? Give me a white helmet with that gold fleur-de-lis on it. That's the way to go. I get why they wanted to go black, but white with that fleur-de-lis. I saved this, Alonzo, for us to watch together.
I cannot hide.
Because I'm kind of a fan.
They say don't let the darkness in. Maybe it's always been there.
I mean, as intro videos go, this is pretty good.
I have to wait to hear the music.
I mean, this is a WWE intro video,
It's
right?
time to let it out.
Panthers going all black, helmet included.
Panthers, Falcons,
I kind of dig it,
or
like a
dark
lot.
side.
I kind of dig it a lot. See if they, yeah, there's a picture of it. That's a good look.
Yep.
That's a good look.
We are your foundation experts, not expert salespeople. As general contractors, we offer lifetime solutions and real peace of mind. Call 864-581-33.
Are you a leg stripe on the pant guy or not?
I don't care.
Fair enough.
As long as they play well, I don't care what they're wearing. Except for color wash. Some color wash needs to be banned.
Like Seattle's?
Yes, because it hurts your eyes.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob. He is Lonzo. Kirk Herbstreit did me a favor, made me feel brilliant once again. Unfortunately, I could not pull the sound because in the transition period from my old computer to my new computer, unfortunately, my sound editing software has been unavailable for the last couple of days. But worry not, friends, because I'll just tell you. I gave you guys two theories about where conference expansion goes, right? Theory number one was that we would end up with two super conferences. Theory number two is that we would end up with three super conferences. And I have hinged it primarily and predominantly on Notre Dame. If Notre Dame ends up joining the ACC, then we will have three super conferences. if Notre Dame does not join the ACC and joins the Big 12, the Big 10, or excuse me, the Big 10, the SEC, or remains independent. At that point, you will have 2 super conferences, and perhaps Notre Dame can talk NBC into giving them enough money to justify staying outside of the super conferences. Or eventually they're forced to join the dark side. But we'll see. Herby came out yesterday, Lonzo, and said he predicts 3 super conferences, which he got some blowback for. But that's what I've been telling you for about a month and a half now. Herby basically said you're going to have 3 super conferences. You're going to have the SEC and the Big 10 that are going to pick up the Blue Bloods. And then you're going to have a massive conference of everybody else. That's going to be the holdouts from the ACC and the Big 12 and the Pac-12. And potentially, and this is my thought, not Herb's, but potentially cast-offs from the SEC and the Big 10 who go, we can't compete, or the conferences go, you're not welcome to compete here anymore. Sorry, Vandy. You don't add anything, right? You're a detractor. You take and don't give. But Herb Street said 3 power conferences, and I remain thinking that's the direction that we're going. Second story that came out yesterday kind of pushes that in that direction. ESPN reported late last night that there were conversations ongoing between the Big 12 and the Pac-12 to form an alliance. Now, again, I see alliance basically the way I saw an alliance between, like, Jim Halpert and Dwight Schrute. Ultimately, nobody's there to help each other, right? Nobody's there to help each other. One is there to play puppet master, and one's there to be a prank artist. But they elect not to help each other. Lonzo, you got a thought? Is that good or bad for those 2 conferences? Do you have a particular lean? Because I don't know if I do.
There's going to have to be 3 because there are going to be teams left by the wayside, and those teams got to do something. If they want to have a shot at anything, they're going to have to band together. It's going to depend on what teams leave those 2 and go to the bigger conferences on whether they just basically become the ACC and irrelevant.
Here's the thing. Am I going too far, Zoe, to say, as of right now, the Big 12 is irrelevant? They're only relevant for, 2 more seasons? Until OU and Tejas jump ship and move over to the Southeastern Conference. Then they will be irrelevant. The Pac-12, the only reason the Pac-12 is not irrelevant is they have Oregon State, Washington State, and Stanford. Those schools are going to get phone calls. Those schools are going to get phone calls. And when those schools get phone calls and they make the jump, the Pac-12 will be irrelevant as well. So the question is going to be, again, for the schools that get left over, what happens to them? Herby's thought, and it was mine too, is they form a 3rd conference. Here's my question. Will that really be a power conference, though? Right? In the Pac-12, if you give me Utah State, if you give me Boise State moving up into the Pac-12, if you give me Houston, Texas Tech in the Big 12, is that really a power conference at that point? Or is that just everybody else and they needed somewhere to play?
It's basically Conference USA or the MAC or the WAC or something like that.
They are then what mid-majors are to the Power 5 now, right? They will be, like Lonzo said, the MAC, the WAC, the SWAC, whatever acts there are.
But what should they do? I mean, they don't have any other choice.
Nothing they can do.
I mean, if they don't get offered by the other 2 conferences, they have to do something to stay afloat, I guess.
Recognize that you have 2 options. Number one is you become a different division of football, right? You have your own national championship. You have the big natty for the Power Fives. You have the small natty for everybody else. Or you just form up and you recognize that some teams are going to die down the line. And you do everything you can do to try to compete with the Big Ten and the SEC, knowing full well they have resources you will never have. Resources you will never have. And I mean, those are the outcomes I see on the table. I'm not saying that there aren't more. I'm saying I don't see them. So my thought is, Herb says we're going to have 3 conferences, and I agree. I just don't know that there will be 3 power conferences. I think we're going to end up with 2 power conferences and then an everybody else conference. And I think they'll probably try to leave it that way for a while. And as long as the NCAA and co try to prop up the lower division, try to get them in the mix, there'll be a 14 playoff. But trying to get into the 14 playoff out of the everybody else conference, the EEC, as I will affectionately refer to it from now on, trying to get into the playoff out of the EEC is going to be as difficult as it was for UCF, Boise, Cincinnati. I mean, we all celebrated Cincinnati finally breaking through this year. The EEC, pardon me, is going to be in that same spot. And I don't know that there is breaking through there, right? Like, I don't know if there is a way to break through after that. You're kind of locked out. You're kind of locked out. So, you know, I see a 3-conference format, but everybody's just acting like when they get there, when we get to 3 conferences, there are going to be 3 even conferences. Lonzo, there's going to be 2 conferences, and then everybody else clinging to survival.
And then everybody else. And then it's going to come down to how's the national champion crowned. Will that 3rd conference even factor in? Because they probably won't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, we've been told the last couple of years, well, you know, everybody's involved in the college football playoff. Everybody's involved. Well, outside of Notre Dame, who was an independent, it took how many years of the playoff before finally the American Athletic Conference was able to send a participant in Cincinnati? And that didn't go great. Right? It's going to be the same situation. They might go, yeah, the EEC, the everybody else conference, the EEC is welcome to participate in the playoffs if they can get there. But then they're going to turn around and a Big Ten team that goes 10-2, but had Ohio State and Michigan and Clemson and Florida State all on the schedule, versus a EEC team that had BYU, Boise, Utah, Memphis, Houston, and Colorado on the schedule and goes 11-1. They're not getting in, right? I'm fine with Herb Street's theory that we end up with 3 conferences. I actually agree with him. What I don't agree with, Zoe, is calling them 3 power conferences, because you're not going to have 3 power conferences. You're going to have the SEC, you're going to have the Big Ten, and you're going to have the EEC. Yeah,
it's definitely a stretch calling it a power conference. We got to call it something. Mm-hmm. I mean, and he doesn't, I'm sure he doesn't want to be disparaging by calling it a lesser conference.
Of course he doesn't.
Because he'll get destroyed over that.
I mean, listen. For many moons, we have talked when the big dogs talk about the mid-majors. People like me have made the argument of, hey, you got to give them a chance, right? Like, it's not their fault. These individual teams, they're playing who you give them. Give them a shot. And then Cincinnati went out there and got their shot, and it didn't go great. Which I said, listen, Cincinnati is now representing every future mid-major undefeated team, because if they show up and they get smoked, they'll never get a chance again. Well, that's what's going to happen when we go to the Big Ten, the SEC, and the EEC. Which, again, I'm almost to the point where I might prefer 2 levels of college football, right? Give me the big dogs. Give me the EEC playing for their own natty. Why not? Why not? And then if you want to get wild, let the 2 of them play each other it won't matter. The big dogs are going to win that because why? They're going to have infinitely more resources than the small teams. But at least the small teams will have the ability to get their own sponsors and get their own TV packages and get on TV for their own playoffs and national championship. And the answer is, yeah, we'll watch. Because the EEC in this case is not going to be what Division II football is right now. The EEC is still going to have teams we know. Baylor, Texas Tech, etc. I'll still watch that, Zoe, on Saturdays. Why not, right? I mean, if it's good football, it's good football, even if it's not Big Ten v. SEC.
All right, so all the teams that you just talked about, it's not good football. So I'm not going to watch it now. So I'm definitely not going to watch it then.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's take a break. Okay!
All right.
Hadn't heard that in a minute.
Before we go to break, according to sources, and you're going to hear it here first, Diesel has defeated Mark Ryan 2 games out of 3, didn't even make it to the 3rd game in Papa-Shot at Clemson Day, whatever that is. So I just want to make sure that we get it out there first, that we reported it first.
I love it.
Because you may not hear about it on that other show.
Diesel's on that other show.
Yeah.
There's no chance he doesn't bring it up. I don't know. Every segment.
Well, he won't. He probably won't get a chance to do the proper gloating that he needs to do. And I would invite him if we're still on the air when they get
I think
done.
that thing should be wrapping up around 11:30.
Yeah,
so we might be able to catch him.
So he should call in and gloat here first because he probably won't get the opportunity later. So it didn't even make it to the 3rd game according to sources, and the smoking was heavy.
Let's talk about that when we come back. Can we make a segment out of that? Sorry, we will make a segment out of that when we come back. Because you know what Mark Ryan's problem was? He gloated so hard at Papa-Shot last year, and I smoked him. He thought he was going to have an easy revenge tour against Diesel to earn his street cred back, and then he got waxed again. I will give you this. Mark Ryan, a shockingly good ping pong player. Shockingly good. But who cares? That's ping pong. Papa-Shot's where the men play.
Who plays ping pong?
Forrest Gump and Mark Ryan.
I guess.
Take a break. Back after this. Rob Lonzo, you. This is the Fan Upstate. That is hilarious. Thank you for dropping the breaking news sounder on that. Perfect. Perfect.
I'm Jason Marks with your sports flash on the Fan Upstate. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game will take place tonight in Los Angeles as Atlanta Brave manager Brian Snitker will try to lead the National League to their first win in the Midsummer Classic since 2012. The highlights from day 1 of SEC Media Days in Atlanta included Lane Kiffin talking NIL, Brian Kelly feeling confident in his first season at LSU, and Eli Drinkwitz feels the Missouri Tigers are headed in the right direction in his 3rd year. Nick Saban and the Alabama
So the congressman
congressman
going through the affair stuff was on Tara's show this morning. Did you listen to it?
I heard the aftermath, but I did not hear the actual interview. No.
Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Larson heading into Sunday's M&M's Fan Appreciation 400 at Pocono Raceway. Alex Bowman took the checkered flag in Pocono last year. Download the Odyssey app and search for the Fan Upstate. Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Jason Marks, and that's your sports flash on the Fan Upstate.
I was getting smoked at Diablo last night, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, I just could not get past certain parts. And then I realized I had been completely forgetting to go through my inventory and up my gear. Just forgetting it. I was just sitting on a gold mine.
You can make some pretty good stuff.
Where do you craft?
See, this game is different than the regular Diablo, so you have to find a blacksmith and find some guys like that.
I found the blacksmith who could break stuff down, but it doesn't give me the option to craft anything.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
Because our priority is
Should I go back and start over as a barbarian though? I kind of want to. Like the wizard was fun, but I'm thinking about it.
All I can say is smashing things is more fun than, you know.
How much magic are you gonna have, or are you gonna use, or do you know yet?
I don't know. Depends on what weapons we get.
Yeah.
Ray Maillard here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park.
Okay. In Diablo Immortal, you can upgrade your equipment by increasing the rank of the item, imbuing it with essence and gems. Thanks to the fact that the upgrades can be transferred between items, you can use any piece of equipment and swap it with your current one.
Yeah.
So it may be just a matter of essence. And again, I haven't played it that much, and it's different from the regular one. To upgrade a piece of equipment, you need to go to a blacksmith. If you want to upgrade gems, go to an apprentice jeweler. Upgrading at low levels guarantee an increase in item stats and attributes by 2 points. Because of that, it's worth constantly improving each of the items. So what you're salvaging for is to get materials to upgrade what you have.
Right.
So whatever you're wearing or weapon you're using, you should be able to upgrade it with that stuff. From the 5th level onward, items will receive additional random bonuses. Next to a blacksmith in Westmarch, you can exchange salvage for enchanted dust, glowing shards, and even an enigmatic crystal. Items you successfully upgrade to rank 5 will receive a random attribute. They are completely random, and you can get even an attack power boost from summoned creatures. When none of your abilities allow you to summon anyone, this is when the blacksmith and reforging come to the rescue. So you can reforge what you have by using reforged stones. I'm going to have to play it more. I just have to put my glasses on.
I upgraded to the new Pixel, which has a bigger screen, and it has been a game changer.
I mean, my screen's pretty big. It's just my eyes are getting worse. So.
Ooh, new skills. All right, Zoe. Next time we do a fan upstate event at Dave & Buster's, and your rep is on the line. What arcade, mini, putt, Papa Shot style game are you running smack at because you're untouchable? What's the one?
Well, any video game I will destroy Mark Ryan at. Basketball has never been my game. I'm really good at fouling. Now, if when he and I play,
there's no boxing, there's no elbowing and Papa Shot, huh?
So there could be. There could be. There probably should have been when he and I played a few years ago. What some people do is they find out, wow, that person's like over a decade older than me and has like broken bones and stuff. Let me compete with physical things because it'll make me feel better about myself. And I would have beat him at air hockey, but again, management told me that if he got hurt, that I could be liable because I joked about it on the air. So I backed off.
I just love the concept of air hockey injuries.
Well, you never. I guess I guarantee you don't play it light, like going, "Ooh, I hit the puck." Aren't you coming like full arm with your long arms, just trying to? Yeah. So I didn't do that.
I mean, I don't know how you held back. And I'm not just saying against him. I'm saying in general. I don't know how you held back.
It was difficult. It was very difficult.
Last year, obviously, unfortunately, because it's on at the same time as it happened, I was unable to go to Clemson Media Olympics this year. We went last year. The only person, and I'm talking athletes included, the only person who beat me at Pop-A-Shot was Clemson's all-time three-point shooter in women's basketball. The only one in the building. I beat Dabo. I beat every single player they threw at us. The only player that beat me at Pop-A-Shot was the all-time three-point leader for Clemson's women's basketball team. Mark, going into that thing, was running smack about Pop-A-Shot. I mean, running smack about beating me at Pop-A-Shot. So when we walked in, that was the one game I got focused on, right? Like, I gotta smoke this guy at Pop-A-Shot because he's talking heat. And you know sometimes guys talk heat because they're really good at the thing they're talking smack about, right? I killed him at Pop-A-Shot. Now, and also cornhole in the golf simulator and bowling. We were relatively average in bowling. I think he got me by a pin in one game. As Diesel pointed out on the show the other day, and Lonzo, I think, can confirm, Rob Brown has two modes at bowling. I'm bowling a 200 or a 75. There's no in between. There's no like 128, 131 for Rob. I'm either hitting a 199 or a 99. Nowhere in the middle.
As far as consistency goes, definitely not there. And it could be anything that could cause you, once it goes bad, it goes
it's all
really,
down.
really bad. Yeah.
If I start strong, you're in for a long night. We had nights in our bowling league last night where Rob had threatened 220 like 2-3 games in a row. And then another night where I'd start off hot, but as soon as I throw a gutter ball, it's just...
Whereas Diesel and I, Diesel started, I don't want to say weak, but he improved every
He got
single week.
dramatically better every week.
But we were pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as handicap goes, our handicap would have been the same near the end.
Yeah.
I mean, Rob's would have been difficult to calculate.
Yep. It's up and down, up and down. So I think he got me by one pin, and then I got him by like 45 pins. But what is when you are going out with the dudes, if you're hitting the D&B or whatever, what's your game? Is it air hockey? Is it shuffleboard? Is it Pop-A-Shot? I'll tell you, you want to know another one I'm good at? You know the one where they have like the clowns and you throw the baseball and you knock the clowns down? Y'all don't want to see me. You don't want to see me. I will smoke everybody. What's your game? What's your one? What's your go-to? Mark said it was Pop-A-Shot. He got roughed up, and now we just found out Diesel smoked him, swept him in a best of 3. You love to see it. Take a break. 2 hours left. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
We've got a new poser picture.
Poser picture? Oh.
Why is he wearing a white though? That white looks almost see-through.
You gotta go undershirt with it. He went undershirt. Right?
I don't think he did because his shoulders look kind of visible underneath there. I don't think he did. Which is fine. It takes confidence to wear that. I just don't. Mine will remain in my closet till it turns yellow.
Diesel said, good news. According to the P color chart in the Clemson bathroom, I'm well hydrated.
Who isn't perfect in the bedroom? And let's be honest, who is? Maybe the issue is getting it up, or keeping it up, or maybe it's finishing too soon. If any of these performance hiccups sound familiar to you, don't sweat it. Hims can help. At 4hims.com, you can go online and get clinically proven prescription medication that treats these issues, prescribed for you, if appropriate, by licensed medical.
I'm glad they're having fun, which I guess is what you're supposed to do.
In discreet packaging. Plus, Hims gives you unlimited follow-up visits with medical providers. No one's perfect in the
How does that work? Is it you just pick a thing and go do it, or do they have you?
They divide the media up into like teams, and all the teams are partnered with one of the coordinators or assistant coaches, and you go Pop-A-Shot, bowling, golf simulator, cornhole. Or those ones we did last year. We were all supposed to do mini golf, but it was raining last year, so we couldn't do that. Actually, we weren't even supposed to do Pop-A-Shot last year. We were supposed to do a genuine three-point shooting contest. which I would have also been second in. But it was raining, so we had to go inside. But your group of media members, representatives, do each of the games. They tally up your score collectively, and then they award the group with the most points the gold medal. We got screwed last year. I carried us last year through, but because one team had Clemson's all-time three-point shooting winner and like two members that had been on Clemson's golf team, and they smoked me in the simulator and on Papa Shot, and that's what did us in.
Can Mark swing a golf club? No, I've never heard him talk about golf.
Swing?
Yeah.
Anybody can swing a golf club.
That's not true.
Can he golf? No.
Okay. I mean, he's probably better than me. I've never heard him talk about it, so I'm just guessing he didn't know how. There are a lot of sports I don't know how to do. Just because you watch them on TV doesn't mean you can go out and do them.
For the record, next year, I'm going to go ahead and say this on the stream too. Next year, we're calling in a sub for this show, and we're going just to put the hurt down.
I don't think they would allow 4 of us there.
They would.
Would they? But see, that
Our
would
station across the street had like 9 last year.
that would require me to go somewhere that I really don't want to go. But
But think about the reason why you're going, Mike.
yeah, well, no. I get that. For competition, I would go.
Yes.
Yes, for that I would go. For that I would endure the looks and the uncomfortable feeling of orange. We'll just go late. Should have been paying attention. Rob Brown Show. Hey, I will let Rob know you're on the line. And hang on. Yeah. Charlotte FC.
That was supposed to be tomorrow, but let's do it today. Totally fine.
Hey, why not do it today? You know? We'll be 5 seconds.
Yeah,
over.
we're good. Wait, who took my picture down from the corner? What a diva moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, South Carolina. 97.1 FM Spartanburg, South Carolina. All around the world on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Grab it, put it on all of your digital devices. Take it with you on the road anywhere with an internet and a speaker. You can hear the seductive stylings of one Lonzo, and also I'm here too. Welcome back. Glad to have you along for the ride into the second hour of the show. I am, of course, Rob Brown, which is why the name of the show works so well. He is the great one, Lonzo, and we are with you from 9 to noon every day. A little something special for you here, primarily because your boy's excited. I've been telling you guys for about a year and a half. I moved here just over 2 years ago, and even at the time, I recognized when I got here, I told you guys the story. The first thing that happened when I got here, when I came up for my audition, was I stayed in an Airbnb for the 3 days I was here auditioning, and I saw a magnet on the fridge inside of the Airbnb I was in for the Greenville Triumph, which I didn't know what that was at the time. Looked it up. I'm like, oh, we got local pro soccer. That's awesome. Went downtown for a couple of nights while I was here auditioning pre-pandemic and started seeing Greenville Triumph stickers and magnets and jerseys. Like, oh, it's all right. Okay. Not just a soccer team, but they support the soccer team. And as I've been here since then, there has been, in my opinion, a genuine soccer revolution in the Carolinas as a whole. The upstate, certainly, but across the Carolinas as a whole, which I'm in love with. You've got, at the USL level, the Charleston Battery, who have been very good. USL League One, the Greenville Triumph right here, just down the road in Georgia, Tormenta. You got a couple of teams up in North Carolina as well. You talk about the women. Greenville Liberty just made it to the semifinals of the inaugural USLW League playoffs, which is fantastic in their first year of existence. Triumph have been to 3 consecutive USL League One championship appearances, won one of them. And in the midst of all of that, we have watched the MLS grow. We have watched bastions of soccer like Seattle and Columbus. We have watched places like Austin, Texas grow from, soccer's good too, we got to have a team here. And alongside all of that comes Charlotte FC, the MLS side playing just up the road in Charlotte, North Carolina. And not only have they been good in the MLS so far this year, but on top of that, they have been noticed by big-time brands, including Chelsea FC out of the Premier League, who will travel to and play against Charlotte this Wednesday evening. Your boy will be in attendance. Very excited about that. And joining us now on the show to break that down, to talk a little bit about it, is the Chief Fan Officer for Charlotte FC, Sean Mcintosh, joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Sean, what's up, big dog? Welcome to the show, buddy.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. Excited to chat about this fun matchup that we've got tomorrow against Chelsea.
Yeah, man. And listen, I want to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to get to that in a minute. It is going to be, actually, as a matter of fact, my first Charlotte FC game. I'm very, very excited to be up there for it. But I want to talk about something I've seen at every other MLS game, every other exhibition that we have seen at BOA so far, Sean. And from what I've been able to tell, and this is good because it means it translates across TV, what a fan experience that Charlotte FC has put together. It's not just come and watch a pretty good MLS side, but it's have a festival, have a soccer festival in and around the stadium, up in the stands, before, during, and after matches. Talk to me a little bit about what you guys have tried to build in terms of the fan experience for Charlotte FC fans coming to BOA.
Yeah, look, as a club, obviously we want to compete. We want to compete for trophies. We want to compete for MLS Cup. Absolutely. It's one of our ambitions as an expansion team to make the playoffs in year one. So don't get me wrong, but ensuring that we have an elite fan experience is absolutely critical to everything we do. So win, lose, or draw, you come out to a match and you're going to have a great time. And that starts hours before the gates open, with our supporters in their tailgate that is open to all fans. They are an incredible bunch of supporters that are welcoming, even if you're coming in as a visiting supporter. They've embraced everybody to come in and join them. It's a really great opportunity to meet people, come together. We have a number of different supporter groups that come together to host this tailgate. So that's something that hours before kickoff is really special. It's unique how they all come together. It's fan festive. We're excited. We'll be doing that as well in advance of this Chelsea match. So for us, that gets everybody started, and then you'll have hundreds to thousands of people come together and then march on over to the stadium, which has become a big spectacle for us. And once in the stadium, there is an energy, again, that reverberates from the moment everybody comes into that building, even before kickoff, to when that 90th minute whistle blows. And for us, that's been such a big part of that fan experience, is what our supporters do to create that energy. I'm really excited to showcase this fan experience on such a big level. We know a lot of folks are coming in from out of market to travel, and maybe they're Chelsea fans and have never seen, heard, or watched Charlotte FC or Major League Soccer. So these kind of events are really great to showcase who we are as a club, particularly as a brand new franchise. So excited about this one.
Sean Mcintosh is the chief fan officer for Charlotte FC. I draw comparisons in a lot of conversations we have, and I'll give you one real quick, Sean. I was for many, many years a hockey fan, but I didn't really have an NHL team. There wasn't a team that caught my attention. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, I went to Nashville. And Nashville put on such a fan experience that they won me over, right? They put on such a fan experience with, live concerts going on, and the game itself felt like a college football atmosphere in the South, but then a hockey game broke out. It was such an experience that as a fan, it kind of won me over. And, we've seen that happen many, many times for a lot of people, that they get won over by the experience. And that, to me, is what you guys seem from folks that I have talked to here in the upstate that have been fortunate to come up for a match or matches so far, have all said it is such a fan experience built around a pretty good football side that you kind of can't help but to get caught up in a little bit. And I assume that's probably the goal for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, as a fan, I love sports of all kinds, and I'm a hockey guy. I love that sport. I'm a big NBA person as well. But you go out to those games, and a lot of times the match presentation and the entertainment is kind of force fed in from what you do on the video board to the music pumped in. We really, and the beauty of this game is that fans are central to that fan experience, and you are an active participant. So we want everybody, whether you're sitting in the supporter section or not, to be active participants in that experience, and really that drives the results on the pitch, which we know, across all sports, how important fans are to giving some life to the team on the pitch. So they're most definitely such a big part of that, and we want people to come in and feel welcome. And us knowing that, as a new team, and, not a lot of folks here maybe had loyalties to a Major League Soccer club, and coming in and falling in love with us and claiming us as their new team has been really special.
We are talking to Sean Mcintosh. He is the chief fan officer for Charlotte FC, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. So Chelsea coming in. Chelsea, obviously, for those that are listening that are maybe new to soccer or just kind of getting into the groove, Chelsea FC, one of the largest, one of the most prestigious, one of the most recognizable brands worldwide when it comes to football. How big is it for Charlotte? First off, Sean, what insight do you have as to how this kind of came about? How was Charlotte FC selected as one of the teams Chelsea decided to line up against on this little tour of North America they're doing? And B, how big of an opportunity to showcase what Charlotte football is all about? What kind of opportunities does hosting Chelsea bring for you guys?
Yeah, look, we're absolutely honored to be a part of this and to be partners in this match. It's a testament to the club. It's a testament to this market and our fans showing up, and in a club like Chelsea seeing that this would be a market that they want to obviously get into, and knowing that fans would show up and support. We're expecting over 50,000 people to be in attendance for this match. So it speaks a lot to the fans across the Carolinas, and knowing that this would be a destination that would pull in and create such an awesome experience for Chelsea. And so for us, obviously anytime you can play a match against a club like Chelsea that is so recognized globally, it spotlights us as a club. It spotlights Charlotte spots like the Carolinas. So this is a great thing. And, it's going to give our fans an opportunity to show who they are as fans coming in and creating some atmosphere. And like I said, I know we've got a lot of folks coming in from out of town that have never seen an MLS club before. And so this is a really great opportunity to, showcase some of the talent that we have on our side, and most importantly, showcasing this experience, because we know this country has a lot of folks who are diehard fans of clubs in Europe. And, they don't get the opportunity to go experience that atmosphere in Europe or see their clubs that they're loyal to from across the pond. And this is going to showcase us in a way that hopefully brings people back, that they can get a feel for what that European experience, that big club experience looks like from a fan experience standpoint right here in their own backyard. So we are absolutely excited to showcase that. We're expecting a big crowd. We do have tickets available for those that haven't secured them yet, but this should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see some of the world-class players in our stadium coming in from Chelsea.
Sean Mcintosh is the chief fan officer for Charlotte FC as they get geared up. Coming up tomorrow evening, they will be hosting Chelsea FC, one of the biggest and most prestigious brands in all of global football, right there in Charlotte. Sean, as somebody who obviously works on the fan side, you heard me talking just a little bit ago about what I genuinely consider to be a bit of a soccer revolution really across the Carolinas as a whole. Charleston with Charleston Battery, the Upstate, the Greenville Triumph, who also squared off a couple of months ago with Charlotte FC in a fine game right here in Greenville. It was great to have Charlotte down here for an exceptional showcase, but between Charleston on one side, you got Greenville down here. You've got other level teams scattered around. You got Clemson, who is the Division I men's national championship champions this year. You got the University of South Carolina women's team, who is exceptionally good. Up your direction, the North Carolina Tar Heels women's team have won like every national championship, and all of that combined earned the Carolinas an MLS team. From your perspective, as somebody who's obviously got to be plugged into all of that, what can you tell me about your thoughts on that? I mean, am I seeing it correctly that the growth in popularity in soccer in the Carolinas, as far as I'm concerned, kind of rivals it pretty much anywhere else in the country at this point?
Yeah, look, we've said this from the beginning. We're not here creating the culture of this sport. This region has a rich soccer history and loads of talent, from the club level, the youth level, all the way up to professional. At USL 1, you've got the North Carolina Courage, who have won 2 NWSL championships. So we've got rich soccer culture across the Carolinas, and, we're excited to be a part of that. Greenville Triumph were fantastic hosts to us in a really great U.S. Open Cup match, and their fans showed up and created a really incredible atmosphere. And, we know we had a big traveling group come down to that and speak very highly of that experience. So, from every league, top to bottom, it's been really great to see the growth of this game, and we're just a part of that. And for us, again, being the only Major League Soccer team, we hope that folks can latch on to us and claim us at least as their MLS club. But it's been really great to see, and we want to be a continued part of that rich tradition.
So let me ask you this question, Sean, and it's certainly going to sound pointed, though I don't intend it to. Obviously, there were a lot of folks, and in full disclosure, full honesty, myself included, that were kind of hoping that there was potential for Carolinas United. Those of us in South Carolina that were kind of excited about an MLS team representing both areas. I have told people down here, despite the name that it is Charlotte FC, I do think you guys have angled to be a club for the Carolinas, South Carolina included, the upstate included, really the whole one club, two states motif. I think you guys have done an excellent job. But from your perspective, from somebody whose job I guess that partially is, what can you tell us about the goals, the angles you guys have taken to make sure that Charlotte FC is the MLS club of the Carolinas as a united front?
Yeah, that's been important to us from the beginning. And look, while the name of our club is representative of where we play and where we are housed, day in and day out, we want to be representative of the entirety of the Carolinas. That's really important to us. I mean, you see it across our kit, right? Our kit has both North and South Carolina on it. A lot of our messaging, a lot of where we show up, events that we go to, pre kickoff on March 5th, myself, I was in North Carolina, in South Carolina, across different cities to meet with fans, engage, show up in different events. Our supporter groups as well, have a number of different chapters, supporter groups across the Carolinas. So for us, that's been really, really important. It will continue to be important. We'll continue to find ways to show up and make sure that message is loud and clear. But, we want to certainly be representative and make sure everybody's comfortable in knowing that we care about both North and South Carolina, and we want to be the club for the entirety of the region.
Sean Mcintosh, Chief Fan Officer for Charlotte FC. We got about another minute or two with Sean. So this is going to be my first game. Unfortunately, as Lonzo loves to point out, I've got about 63 different jobs that I do here in the upstate. And finally, I've gotten the opportunity, and it's big. Sean, don't hold it against me, grew up a Chelsea guy. So not only do I get to see my MLS team, but I get to watch them play my Premier League side that I've been watching for many, many moons at this point. For those in the upstate, because I know of at least a handful of other guys and gals around here that are coming up for this match, both because obviously they want to see Charlotte, but because such a brand of an opponent. If you had to give the 1 to 2 minute quick guide about what we need to make sure that we do before, during, and after a Charlotte FC match, what would Sean Mcintosh put on the itinerary?
I would say you've got to check out our supporters tailgate. That opens up at 3:30 p.m. It's on McNish Street, open to all fans. Chelsea will also be activating on that lot. So really great opportunity to check out some cool Chelsea FC stuff, meet a lot of fun people, have a great time, and they're going to be marching over at 6:30 p.m. So I would make sure to be a part of that march. It's always a great spectacle. Getting into the building early. We do a lot of really cool things, including a coronation ceremony. You don't want to miss that. That'll take place around 7:20 with a great, great new tradition that's inclusive of everybody joining in and taking part in singing of the national anthem. So, being a part of all that, getting into the building early so you don't miss anything, kickoff at 7:30 p.m. I think if you are a part of all that, you're going to have a really well-rounded experience.
I love it. I love it. I will. I've written it down. I'll be there for all the things. Sean Mcintosh is the Chief Fan Officer for Charlotte FC. They are at home tomorrow, playing one of the biggest, most recognizable brands in global soccer, Chelsea FC, in what should be a fantastic match. Last one for you. And I know, Sean, that you probably don't have an answer as much as I don't have an answer. Will we get to see Christian Pulisic tomorrow? Has that leaked out around Charlotte yet?
Hey, look, he's with the team. We don't know exactly who's going to play. I know a lot of people are excited about that. I know he's one of the players I'll be excited to see, amongst a couple others. I'm a big Italian national team fan, so getting to see the likes of Jorginho, a European champion, is a player I'll be looking forward to seeing. But look, they've got a star-studded roster, so whoever's showing up is going to be one of the best players in the world that folks are going to get to see. So hoping to see Christian Pulisic as much as anybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely love it. Sean Mcintosh, CFO, Chief Fan Officer for Charlotte FC. Again, home tomorrow evening at Bank of America Stadium, hosting Chelsea FC out of the Premier League. Going to be a fantastic match. I will be there. I even think Mark Ryan's coming with me. So the celebrities coming out in force. Sean, the pleasure has been ours, buddy. Thank you so much. We are looking forward, and hopefully I'll get to see you around the stadium tomorrow, pal. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to having you guys coming out. Done and done. Thank you very much, Sean Mcintosh from Charlotte FC, Chief Fan Officer, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. Thank you very much to Sean. Thanks very much to Woody Wilder, who has been our contact, and a phenomenal one at that, to make sure we're all set up. And again, if you are not planning on being there are some tickets remaining. Chelsea FC, that's a huge match. I mean, that's big time. That is one of the biggest names in global soccer coming right here to the Carolinas. I will be there. If you're going to be there, hit me up. Twitter, Instagram, at The Rob Brown Show. If you can't make it, well, then follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Rob Brown Show, because I'll be going live from the match. I'm very much looking forward to it. Rob Alonzo, you back after this on The Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's BetMGM tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan. BetMGM tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with hosts Quinton Mayo, Trista Crick, and Brian Horvath. Real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM tonight, exclusively on the Fan and on the Odyssey app.
From the 106.3 WORD Weather Center, here's the Upstate's most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Few scattered showers and storms possible late today, otherwise plenty of clouds and sunshine developed to high 89. Tonight's slight chance for rain and storms, a low near 71. Wednesday, slight chance for showers and storms late, plenty of clouds and sunshine developed to high 92. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 77.
I'm Chelsea Messenger, helping you beat the books with BetQL. It's MLB All-Star Week, and tonight we've got your home run derby going on in L.A. Philly slugger Kyle Schwarber will try to play spoiler with his odds of the contest at plus 325 as he tries to take down two-time champ Pete Alonso of the Mets. Another first-round matchup has the Nationals' Juan Soto taking on
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, if you are into the real estate market right now, you have heard that it is a seller's market. And with real estate appreciation in double digits and inventory at historic lows, that is really, really good news if you're looking to sell a home. But most sellers also need to buy a home too, and that's where interest rates are important. Interest rates are rising. They are still well below the historic average of 7%, and home buying remains a strong financial decision. So reach out to my friends at Allen Tate, because Allen Tate is helping both sides of the market, both buyers and sellers, because both sides have real estate goals. And Allen Tate, the #1 real estate company in North and South Carolina, is helping buyers and sellers just like you. So if you're in the market on either side, you need to reach out to my friends at Allen Tate. Find them online at allentate.com. That's allentate.com.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
No, we use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios,
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals.
but you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our
All right, I'm going to mute this for a second because I don't want to get flagged. I don't want to hear something.
might be why most of our clients come.
All right, so I'm unmuting now. I didn't want to get flagged. I just want to see if Shane Beamer actually has rhythm, and I can confirm that he does.
Yeah, so I've got a conference. I've got 3 headsets. I've got my laptops. And I don't mind letting him use it. No, I'm handling this myself. I do this. I did this last year too. I made one great mistake. Well, I'll say this one.
And I had to do it the year before,
Did you?
including including.
Are we?
No, we're still on because
Hang on, stream. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Like 1 minute. So we had to go off the stream there at facebook.com/thefanupstate because we were talking about very technical radio things like don't break that and also don't break that. And I wanted to avoid liability as much as possible. That's it. The Rob Brown Show back.
he's probably still going to break it though.
Right, but now I can't say that I definitely was told not to break that thing, right? Minus me now saying it in front of the everybody. I can't be told I was told.
All right, so what he was talking about is breaking news, and we broke this last hour, that Diesel has defeated Mark Ryan at Pop-A-Shot.
Not defeated based on the way Diesel tweeted it. It sounded like it was complete, total, and utter annihilation.
Yes, that's the way it sounded. So 2 years in a row, Mark Ryan has lost at Pop-A-Shot.
Yeah.
So he will talk about defeating me, a washed-up old guy. But when it comes to facing guys of comparable age and ability, he came up lacking.
I am.
And if he just happens to be listening now, feel free to call in and defend yourself.
I will say this. For the sake of defending my colleague here, I am going to give you
Come on, we're all colleagues. I mean, you can use the colleague word. We're all colleagues.
Okay. To defend my fellow host here on the show, I'm going to say this. Mark Ryan is a deceptively good ping pong player, right? And I should have seen that coming. I should have seen it coming because we got the way the Clemson media thing works, which is where Diesel and Diesel and Mark are this morning. They split all the media up into like 4, 5, 6 different groups, depending on how many they are. And everybody is assigned to one of Dabo's assistant coaches, right? So you get assigned to an assistant coach, and they take you around all of the games. There is a golf simulator, there's Pop-A-Shot, there's bowling. Last year, there was supposed to be mini golf and a 3-point competition, but it rained, so we had to stay inside. So I don't know if they changed that. But we did cornhole, and there was something else. Pop-A-Shot, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Pop-A-Shot, bowling, cornhole, maybe that was it. Anyway, they take you around, they add up the points of all the media. I think they take like the best 2 or 3 scores from your media group and they put you together. Well, on the way in, up to that week, since Mark and I were both going, Mark had been running absolute heat about how he was going to decimate the field at Pop-A-Shot. And I ran him. I ran him out of the building. But in fairness, I ran everybody out of the building at Pop-A-Shot with the exception of one person, and that one person was Clemson's all-time 3-point shooting champion on the women's basketball side. So, like, of course, right? They brought in a damn ringer. Anyway, we got done, and Lonzo, the second that the media competition was over, right? They're like, all right, we got the scores tallied. We will give us 10 minutes. We're going to put all the winners and losers together. We'll hand out medals. The second that they were done, Mark's like, hey, you want to play ping pong? Want to play ping pong? You want to play ping pong? Let's play ping pong. Want to play ping pong? Let's play ping pong. It's like, all right, dude, chill, man. Let's play ping pong. I'm good at ping pong. I'm all right. I played in the college days, right? We had a ping pong table in the frat house. I can still probably go. It's been a minute. Mark killed me. I mean, smoked me at ping pong. Destroyed me. It was like 21-12. Doubled me up nearly in ping pong. Deceptively good at ping pong, but I'd like it on the record that I won at pretty much everything else. Deceptively. So what I'm saying here ultimately is I am very excited to see if Diesel, knowing that, accepts a Mark Ryan ping pong challenge. And more importantly, if he will post the score to that as quickly as he did the Pop-A-Shot competition.
Here's the thing about Diesel. If he's not good at something, he works at it till he is. So even if he should be defeated on the ping pong table, he will recover, he will get better, and he will win the next time. I have every confidence in him and what I've seen him do, improving in a lot of things. I haven't seen him improve on the golf course, but you've told me that he has. I saw how he improved in bowling. So, and the thing is, we don't know if he could play or not. He might already be a pretty good ping pong player.
Might be.
And Mark is getting older, so he may have lost a step.
Has been a year. It has been a year.
Hey, when it hits you, it hits you.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it does.
All right. Juan Soto last night wins the home run derby and beats a game Julio Rodriguez on the way to do it. But how about Julio Rodriguez not just beating the fan favorite, I think, in Julio Rodriguez down the stretch, but how about doing it, Lonzo, about 3 days after he turned down a 15-year, $449 million contract that would have been the single most lucrative contract in Major League Baseball history. So what's my guy do? Gets named to the All-Star team, gets offered a $449 million contract to play 15 more years of baseball in Washington, D.C., and says, nah, I can do better. And I think the reason he turned it down, ultimately, somebody's going to give him $450 for 12, all right? Somebody's going to give him $450 for 12, which creates a situation where he's got 2 or 3 years at the end of his career to do an Albert Pujols farewell tour, right? Go back to D.C., spend a couple of years there, lock up, a ring chase at the very end if he wants to do that. Whatever the case might be, we'll find out. We'll see. But imagine being in a spot where you turn down $449 million because you know somebody's going to give you $450. That's spectacular for Juan Soto. And Juan Soto's doing everything right in the process, right? Like, if you are going to say $449 million for 15 ain't good enough, that is a spot where if you ask me random player, said, Rob, what is this? What does a player need to do to get to where you would feel like a team is justified in giving him $449 million over 15 years? I'd go, hell, he better be an all-star. He better win the home run derby. He better be beloved by MLB fans around the country. He better be a representation of a country. He better be You're describing Juan Soto, my guy. You're describing this cat. So here's what I'm saying. A lot of people were kind of turning the nose up at Juan Soto for turning down $449 million to go play baseball again for the DC Nationals. Do you know why he turned down $449? $449 million? Because somebody's going to give him $450. Or somebody's going to give him $449 for 3 fewer years under contract. Somebody's going to do it. Somebody is going to do it. That's why he turned it down. And on top of somebody's going to do it, that's why he turned it down, he also is in a spot now. He also is in a spot now where he's earning every bit of it. He's playing great baseball. He's been an absolute slugger as of late for the Nats. He's kept them in a lot of games that they otherwise wouldn't have been in. And then he's out there winning all the fan stuff too, right? Winning the Derby, making the All-Star game, putting the Nationals in front of the spotlight. I mean, if you're a team that is considering whether or not to give Juan Soto to $450 million to play for your team for a decade and some change, he's doing all the things right, isn't he? You got a Grand Slam champ. You got a Home Run Derby champ. You got an All-Star. I mean, I know it's unfathomable. I mean, not for me and Lonzo. We turn down that much money all the time. You should see the sponsors, the amount of zeros they throw at Lonzo. They throw so many zeros at Lonzo. His name is now Lonzo. We turn it down all the time. But that's because we know we're going to get more than that down the stretch. That's Juan Soto. He knows he's going to get more down the stretch. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Got a few more things that I want to get to before we end up our numero dos, including love him or hate him. The Live Tours figured something out, and they made a power move yesterday. And it's the first power move, sincerely, maybe more than any golfer that's joined the tour, the first power move that made me think, oh, they're going to be here a while. Tell you what that is when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Alonzo, this is the Fan Upstate.
Rob Brown Show. I was not. Oh, okay, hang on, Kenny. We'll get you right on. Hang on.
That's right, Kenny Mean.
He said he thought we were calling him.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM, Greenville, South Carolina, 97.1 FM, Spartanburg, South Carolina, and all around the world on the Odyssey app. Very, very pleased to be joined now on the show by a gentleman that I was going to say I've watched. We've all watched him for many years, and now you're going to get to listen to him for many more because his new podcast, Hey Maine, the Kenny Mayne Talks to Famous People podcast with Kenny Mayne, is available on Odyssey and the 2400 Sports Network. The legendary Kenny Mayne joins us here on the show. Kenny, welcome to the show, man. Glad to have you. Thanks for taking a few minutes, sir.
Thanks for having me. And as you say, the potential audience is 7.5 billion people. So we're looking for big things.
I mean, what's a goal? A bill? Like you get a billion. That's in the ballpark of what you're going for, right?
That's the over-under. I mean, I'll be disappointed. South America, they should be listening. European audience should be solid. And anybody who likes it. But honestly, the thrill of it has already happened. Just getting some of these folks to say yes and sit down for an hour or more. And we've kind of had a wide range of people already on tape. We've, I think, released 4 so far, and 2 are coming on Thursday. We're kind of doing a double header. And we got a whole bunch more, taping another one later today, and that'll kind of be our first season.
Love to hear it. And we went and looked. Obviously, I've been listening to these for a minute. You've had Chris Berman on. You've had Ben Schwartz on. You've had Jamal Crawford on. And dropped just a couple of days ago Christopher Guest, who is responsible for really a couple of my favorite movies of all time, The Princess Bride and Spinal Tap. Let me start with this. What gave you the idea of, let me just sit down with famous people and pick their brain? Where did that, I mean, is that just something you wanted to do as an interviewer?
I thought if we interviewed not famous people, it might not sell as well, but we will go there eventually, because I seriously think that would be interesting at some point. We might want to get a little traction first before we experiment too much. Because there's interesting people all over the place. I said this in the promotion, and I wasn't really joking. I'd love to interview that kid. Remember the Boom Goes the Dynamite kid?
Yes.
What's he doing now? There's all sorts of folks out there, and all of us run into, intelligent and interesting people in our daily lives in different jobs. Maybe that's a whole nother series of not famous people. Let's do 12 that you've never met or heard of and find out what they're about. But for now, Odyssey had come to me, I think it was last summer, a year ago, right after I left ESPN. And I just kind of put them off for a bit because I didn't know what I was going to do, as my main thing, to pay the bills and send kids to college and all the stuff parents have to do. And so once I settled what that was, which was Caesars, I just started looking at other projects to fill my time and to do something fun. So I had a list of people that I either knew or knew a little bit. And then there was the other list of people I don't know, but I'd love to have. And we've just been, trying to pick them off from each side of the ledger.
Kenny, nearly 20 years ago, I got to do my very first celebrity interview, and it was you. And I was really nervous about it. My broadcast partner at the time, we were really excited about it. We had a ton of questions to ask you. And you were driving around in a car in Florida before the Super Bowl. And we never got to ask any of the questions. I asked 1 or 2 questions, and then you just went somewhere. And my broadcast partner started freaking out. I just threw my questions up in the air, and you taught me a valuable lesson to go wherever the guest goes. And for the very first interview, it was so cool. I never thought I'd get a chance to talk to you again. Where's your style come from?
If I had to, I don't really deconstruct it too often, but when I'm asked, I grew up on Johnny Carson. My dad was funny. His friend Al Drake was funny. My best friend Mark Sansevier was funny. My uncle Gordy, just kind of the people around me, right? And I was always very curious. I read a lot and I watched a lot, and I guess just kind of a blend of all of that. I'm not sure. I actually failed in what you just described when I did Chris Guest, because I'd have to listen back to the tape again. I didn't hear that part a second time around. He more or less hinted strongly that they were going to look at remaking Spinal Tap. And I think I just wasn't listening well, and I kind of missed and moved on to something else. I didn't really write out questions, but just jumped somewhere else. So the key, similar to what you just described, to being a good interviewer is to be a good listener, because how many times have you seen the interviews that are just way too scripted? The subject says something and the interviewer jumps to another subject and doesn't even follow up with what was just said, which might have been remarkable. There should have been in the moment a follow-up question or go down that path with a guest. Joel McHale and I did one that's on tape from a couple weeks ago. It was absolutely bananas. Like, we were both all over the place, you know, forgetting what the question was. Hey, what did I just ask you? And it ended up, I hope, being entertaining because, you know, there was no plan. And in some of these, I think everyone's been a little different. In some, it's a little standard. I wanted to know from Chris Berman, what was it like being at ESPN right in the infancy, and how crazy is that you had one building and look what it is now, and tell me about the old days. And Chris DeGast, you know, some of the methodology of how he makes the movies. I wanted to know about that. But in a lot of other cases, it's just like we're doing here, right? You know, one thing leads to another.
Kenny Mayne joining us here on the show. Legendary broadcaster, has a new podcast out called Hey Mayne, the Kenny Mayne Talks to Famous People podcast with Kenny Mayne. There is a promo going on our channel for your podcast, Kenny, where you talk about the title came from you and your wife having a discussion about it. Is that story true? Was it really just your wife said it should be called this and you still want it to be called the Kenny Mayne Talks to Famous People podcast? And B, how much of the stuff that we recognize through your career, whether it's interviews with celebrities or different features you've done on SportsCenter, et cetera, how many of the projects that you do or the features that you do are just you sitting there going, yeah, I think this would be a great idea and funny, let's do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch in there. Yes, Gretchen did come up with Hey Mayne. The debate I had with the Odyssey people was, and they were agreeing with her, that we need something, whether you use your name in the title or something else borderline catchy, so that if people hear about it, it's quickly remembered, right? Like, you're not going to remember Kenny Mayne Talks to Famous People podcast. I mean, some people will, but I wanted to do that sort of, you know, in the same way I did SportsCenter, kind of making fun of the fact I'm on TV while trying to do well on TV at the same time, I guess is the best way to describe it. And it's the same thing with this. Because, you know, there are a million podcasts. Most of them are people talking to famous people, right? Or authors or somebody with, you know, some product, you know, that is interesting because they've, you know, put time into a certain subject or whatever. But Hey Mayne, just, yeah, Gretchen, you out there? You want some credit? No, she'll look for the credit later. But that, I mean, ESPN did that in a few ways. We had the main event. That was the football story. You know, the little fake football story I did for 10 years or whatever. And then the other show, which I really liked, which I'm ultimately, I think, going to get all the stars of that show on this eventually. We have 2 of them on this season and hopefully 2 more the next time, was called Main Street, if you remember that. It was like a little situation comedy. And it's funny because we did that way before the advent of all these, you know, pluses and extras and all these bonus streaming services. It was just on ESPN.com, which itself was kind of new, right? Like having a website, ESPN.com, that differentiated from ESPN Regular, the TV channel. And there was ESPN2 and ESPNU and ESPN News and on and on and on. So it's just, you know, it's just another way to grab some audience, right? There's so many choices. I think all the big companies, all right, well, let's roll out 9 different ways to watch something related to what we do. And if in total we capture a little here and a little there, it adds up to something that we used to get just for having one.
All right, so I work with the loudest person in the building, Rob Brown, who's across from me, and you worked at ESPN for a really long time. I've always wondered, who is the loudest person at ESPN? Because I have an idea who I think it is.
Well, Chris Berman's pretty loud.
That's who I thought it would be. Okay.
Yeah, you can hear him from a block or so. My wife tells me I'm loud. I think I've done it on this call. For some reason, and like when I'm driving hands-free in the car, which is advisable, right? You shouldn't be on your phone holding it or typing or anything. I still feel like you have to have the phone near you, even though you're talking through the speaker system of the car, right? The mic system. And sometimes I raise my voice unnecessarily. She tells me when I'm in the backyard at our house, the entire neighborhood can hear me and all the details. I don't think I do that. I'm trying to bring my voice down right now, but Does it feel like I've been shouting? I don't know.
No, in fact, Kenny Mayne.
Listen to who you're comparing to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Listen, I literally yesterday was sitting in a parking lot finishing up a phone call with the girlfriend of the car. She got out of the car, got back in the car when the call was over, and said, "It makes me angry how loud you are." So I'm glad to know that I'm not alone in that group.
Yeah, Gretchen's in the same boat. There's another guy named Jerry Madelon, former ESPN producer. He now does all sorts of stuff, agent work and promotion work and coaching, and good guy. And he's right up there. He's right in the pantheon of loud voices. So I guess you, Berman, and Jerry Madelon are the three loudest people out there.
Good enough. I'll take it. I am in what has been described as a pantheon. It sounds good. Kenny Mayne joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upside. I do have to go back and ask you about an experience that you had that you may or may not have interest in talking about, but you made for a very brief period in my life Dancing with the Stars into must-watch television just by being Kenny Mayne. What was that experience like for you? I mean, obviously there were elements of what you did at ESPN and other broadcasting stops that made it Kenny Mayne on Dancing with the Stars, but setting up that event, going through the dancing, and then becoming basically a feature reporter for that show, what was that period of time like for you?
It was fun. I was working with Jerry Rice and Len Goodman, the old judge, and a bunch of friends, that I became friends with, who were related to the show. I was on technically their first season. Remember, they did a summer replacement type show. That was their first iteration. And then the next year, they started again, and somehow they called me. I have no idea why. I think there was somebody at ABC that liked me, and they were trying to diversify. Let's have somebody from this world and that world. And I was terrible. I can, play drums to any Stevie Wonder song with spoons or whatever. But I'm not a great dancer. Like dancing at our wedding, I danced. I just follow whatever Gretchen does and try to, stay close. But theatrical ballroom dancing, no shot. And I told the girl that from the beginning. Andrea Hill was my dancer. I said, why don't we just do something really super small and simple, and I'll look like I've mastered something? And she was like, no, let's do something really ambitious, and they'll reward you for your ambition, which is the opposite of what happened. They just mocked me for it, and I was chasing around the floor. But what happened was, right after I got kicked off immediately, they called and said, hey, do you want to contribute to the show in some fashion, kind of like a recurring figure, every season? So Jerry and I and Len did this thing we called Dance Center, and it was a takeoff on, Sports Center, obviously. And we had fun. We'd come, usually, it was right before, was it before the Preakness every time, or the Derby? I can't remember. It was always in May. And we would, knock it out for 2 or 3 hours, just talk about all the different dancers, and we'd go all over the place, and then they just cut it up into the best segment they could figure. And it lasted a good long while. I think we did it for 7 or 8 years.
Kenny Mayne joining us here on the show. Last one, and then I'll let you go, Kenny. This podcast, Kenny Mayne talks to famous people and the other ideas that you've done. And I kind of asked a variation of this question a minute ago, but, when I put my show together, segments are done by A, how important they are, but also B, how much fun are Lonzo and I going to have talking about this? Because I think if you're having fun, it by default becomes more entertaining for other people. Is that kind of the philosophy that has led to things like the Hey Mayne podcast, et cetera, where Kenny Mayne thinks, hey, this is just going to be entertaining, and it works out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's even any method to it other than, a podcast is just like radio, right? You're just talking and there's a little video component sometimes. But, I put a list of, I like these people. They're interesting. They've done something notable in whatever field they're in. And I think a general audience or a specific audience, there's certain people that wanted to hear Berman more than they wanted to hear Jamal. And there's others that wanted Jamal more than Chris Guest, and on and on and on. So if you looked at our whole list, I think we're at a dozen, and the goal was 12 to 15. And then we'll, sit back for a minute and run them, and then we'll restart again in September or so. I'm proud of our list. There's no interview that we did that afterward I said, oh, that was terrible. That guy wasn't as good as I thought, or I was terrible, or, you should be your own worst critic if you're in this business to try to improve. I told Joel McHale the bit with him the other day really helped me. I was being sincere. Like, that was good for me, knowing there doesn't have to be any convention to it. It can just be whatever it turns out to be. He didn't want to plug anything. He just wanted to talk about silly things and was all over the place. And Roy Wood Jr. was similar, although we got into very serious subjects as well. We also had huge technical difficulties, and I thank him for his patience. At one point, I was like, I'm talking to my producer as the internet kept crashing. I said, why don't we just forget the rules and explain to people, because you can hear me, but I can't hear him. I'm going to conduct an interview where I can't hear my guest, but you, my producer, are going to text me some of his answers and it would be really funny. It would be very experimental, and it fits perfect. He's a very funny guy. We were just about to go that route when all of a sudden the internet started working, and we just did it more conventionally, but we still, did a little absurd here and there. So I'm looking forward to today's. I don't usually announce until it actually happens, but we have a good guest later today, and then I'm going to San Diego for the opening of Del Mar for Caesars. I'm doing work with them, and we're going to have some fun making videos out there, and so it's a good week.
Kenny Mayne, host the Kenny Mayne Talks to Famous People podcast with Kenny Mayne. It's entitled Hey Mayne. It is available from the Odyssey and 2400 Sports Network. Kenny, when you are ready to shift from famous people to not famous people, I have two of us right here. We appreciate your time, my man. I love the podcast. I have enjoyed it. Can't wait to find out who drops later today. And we thank you for your time, big dog.
Thank you so much.
Always, anytime. The great Kenny Mayne, ladies and gentlemen. Didn't hate that interview at all. Let's take a break. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate.
Just in case I can't unmute.
That was fun. That was fun.
By the way, I went on record. I knew Berman was the loudest guy there.
I don't know who else I would have even put in that contest, right? I don't know all of the new ESPN anchors and whatnot, but even still, I don't think I've ever seen anyone that would be as loud as Berman. If I'm not the loudest person in this building, I'd be shocked, and I assume I'm the Berman of this building for that reason.
You give yourself more credit. You're probably louder than him.
Than Berman?
Yeah.
I can be. Berman strikes me as the dude that's how he talks in his regular conversation, too.
So we're definitely going to be a little bit late starting the next hour.
I'm not overly concerned about it. I think it's worth it, right?
Yes. We'll tell the guy who's in charge this week and see if he'll chastise us.
No. You got some high level spells. All right. How you like some fire, son?
See, I don't know about them doing another Spinal Tap though.
Is it a reboot or is it a like Spinal Tap: The Next Generation? Because if it's like Spinal Tap: The Next Generation, I'm full in.
What, like their children or something taking over the
like
band?
The kids of the original band or another band that like tried to pick up the moniker.
Well, obviously Guest is still around because he just interviewed him. Michael McKean, is he still alive? I don't think you can do it without him.
I need to run away from this encounter.
Following the commercial announcement, there's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax your local radio station.
Yeah, he's 74. McKean
Kenny?
is.
Oh,
And Michael
I was like,
McKean
Kenny's
is.
not 74.
Yeah, Michael McKean is. That's the other thing.
Gotcha.
He's Prism in the first break,
10-4.
which we'll get to eventually.
I'll get back on pace this break.
My name is Rob Ineria, and according to my parents, accidents do happen. If you've been injured by an auto accident, slip and fall, medical malpractice, or a dog bite, I would love to be your attorney. Please give me a call at 864
So
Rob.
the ACC thing is Thursday and Friday?
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow and Thursday. Okay.
I'll be back Friday. I will be staying there overnight tomorrow, doing the show there tomorrow, and they approved me for a hotel for one night. I'm like, so I got to leave at 4:45 tomorrow morning to drive there. Hooray. Yeah! Here we go! The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the fan upstate. Hello, upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. Rob Brown and Lonzo with you.
That was a busy hour, man. That was a really busy hour.
Sean Mcintosh, Chief Fan Officer of Charlotte FC, joined us in the first segment. We had one of the bigger conversations about conference realignment we've had in the second segment. And then in the third segment, we were joined by Kenny Mayne. And may I just say, that was fun. That was fun. Not that there was a second that Lonzo and I thought interviewing Kenny Mayne wasn't going to be amazing, but it was. The guy is great, and I've come to the conclusion. Kenny Mayne got famous, Lonzo, by doing his broadcasting the way that you and I do ours, which is, yeah, this seems like a fun idea. Let's just do that.
See, and I'm wondering if because this was early on in my career when I first talked to him, did that change the direction of how I did things? It could have.
Yeah.
To be more like me. And I was nervous during the first question I asked him because I didn't think I could make it to the end before he interrupted me, and I actually made it to the end. I was shocked as the end came. I was like, wow, I made it.
I'll tell you the other thing, and this is something that you notice after you do this job for long enough. Guys who do this job know how to interview, which means they know how to be interviewed, right? They know how to be. And you heard him say that right there. He said, look, one of the things you got to do as an interview, what's the most important thing about being a good interviewer is active listening, right? I mean, he just said that he was talking to Christopher Guest, responsible for Spinal Tap, which is, I mean, a legendary movie, especially for, guys like me and Zoe that are a little bit older and play in rock bands.
Unless you're a drummer.
In which case you have spontaneously combusted, in which case you don't care anymore. Anyway, he said Christopher Guest effectively dropped in the middle of the interview that they are potentially going to do another Spinal Tap. Now, the correct question, if you're Kenny Mayne in that case, is reboot or sequel or prequel, right?
And when.
Yeah. And he said, I just didn't catch it. And listen, every interview, I don't care if you are the legendary Kenny Mayne or the very mediocre Rob Brown or a high school reporter with the pen tape recorder, right? Every now and then you're gonna miss something because you're checking out the next question or you're thinking of the follow-up from the thing he just said to the point that you missed the next thing he said, which maybe was a better follow-up. It's gonna happen, but Kenny Mayne even said that. But What Kenny Mayne did there was prove to all of us that you can have a good time. But Kenny Mayne knows how to interview, which means he knows how to be interviewed, which is get all the way to the end of the question, right? Get to the end of the question. Kenny did that. I thought it was spectacular. Kenny Mayne, oh, and by the way, Kenny Mayne, whose podcast appears on 2400 Sports, you know who else, Lonzo, has a podcast that appears on 2400 Sports?
Rob Brown from The Rob Brown Show.
Ding, ding. Johnny, tell him what he's won. What he's won is the ability to subscribe to the Rob Brown Show podcast, which will be starting up regarding the Carolina Panthers here in just a couple of weeks. Very excited about that. Anywho, I thought the interview was great. I thought Kenny's great. You know, when I got into this business 14 years ago, almost 15 years ago at this point, I think actually this fall will be 15 years I've been in this business. When I got into this gig 15 years ago, I got into this gig because of a broadcaster down in New Orleans, Louisiana named Buddy DiLiberto. Buddy D is what they called him. Buddy D down in New Orleans was the Saints postgame broadcaster. Buddy D would go on after Saints games, and he talked about the Saints, though, just like a Saints fan, right? Just like a Saints fan. I mean, being and complaining, whining.
Are you
when
talking
the team
about
did good.
Homer Radio?
Oh, yeah. But no. I'm not talking about Homer Radio, right? Because Homer Radio is...
The team can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So-and-so threw that interception, but it was the best damn interception you've ever seen, right? Like, that's Homer Radio. Buddy D would come on after the game to be like, hey, welcome to the Buddy D podcast. We're going to talk some Saints football. My God, we suck. I mean, this team just stinks. This team, you bunch of squirrels, this team just stinks. You got no quarterback. The offensive line's a joke. I mean, the guys emptying the dumpster after the game's probably blocked better than this offensive line, right? Like, he was a fan, though. And I'm not talking about the fan where everything's right. I mean the fan where when things go wrong, that dude would interview the head coach and be like, hey, Coach Ditka, why the hell did you give all away our draft picks, man? You gave all our draft picks away for Ricky Williams. Why'd you get... Coach, that's a bad move, right? Like, he was so ingrained in that community at that point that the dude could basically flip off the head coach of the Saints and get away with it, right? And get away with it. I grew up listening to Buddy D. He used to do the Saints postgame show at I believe it was a Hilton right across the street from the Superdome. And so when we would go to Saints games a couple times a year, Pops would take me over to that Hilton, and we'd just sit there and listen to Buddy D do a show. And that is how young Rob was like, wait a minute, you mean I can go to games, get angry about the games, yell and bee and whine and complain about it, and then they give me money for that? That sounds amazing. I'm going to do that. And thus, you're stuck with me today.
Except for the money part.
Except for the money part.
Lied about that.
I mean,
but,
they do give me some money for it. To the point that when I started this gig, Buddy D, who was my icon, my idol growing up, when I started this gig, my initial on-air name when I started, when they were like, you know, if you want to have a what do you call it? A stage name, a stage moniker, right? If you want to have a stage name, you gotta have it from day one. If you're going to be in this market for a while, initially my name on the radio was going to be Robbie B, right? I was going to go Robbie B as an homage to Buddy D. I was going to be Robbie B. Didn't stick, obviously.
At least you didn't get stuck with Pork Chop as your first name, which was mine.
Was it really Pork Chop?
Yes. When we first started what was then the Gamecock warm-up show over on our sister station WORD, we were given the option of Pork Chop or Biscuit. And given the option of Pork Chop or Biscuit, I'm going to, because Pork Chop, Biscuit, you know, it's fluffy.
Yeah.
Pork chop, at least.
Pork chop's the right decision there.
Pork chop, while not.
You know what you should have called yourself.
Pork chop, while not beef.
There it is.
Is still.
Should have been beef.
Is the other white meat. So I'm good.
Yeah. So I was going to go, and they told me that, if you want to have a stage name, do it from the very beginning, because once you get going, it's hard to change it, right? So I was going to be, for like 3 days when I started, I was Robbie B. And then I ended up hating the sound of it. But anyway, as I got older and continued to broadcast, Kenny Mayne continued to grow big at ESPN. And Kenny Mayne joined Buddy D as a couple of my all-time favorites, potentially because Kenny Mayne was like an older, more tired version of me, right? Like, there's going to be a point where I stop talking like this, and I'm just like, all right, like, we're here. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. What do you guys want to talk about?
I'm guessing when you get to that point, you will no longer be here. Because
maybe not like here.
I mean, because
hopefully I'll be on like.
You gotta have some energy.
Yeah, I'll be at Kenny's level where you get to that point in your career and they're like, yeah, it's Rob though. Like, that's just what Rob does, right? But I loved Kenny, and I loved Kenny for two reasons. Number one, Kenny, I thought myself a lot like Kenny. I still think myself a lot like Kenny in that Kenny can do Sports Center and he can give you the numbers, right? And he can give you the stats and he can have fun but tell you what happened in the game. But I don't know that's necessarily what Kenny wants to do primarily. Kenny's a feature guy, right? Like, Kenny wants to interview people and talk with people and get people's opinions and turn it in to enjoyable radio. And I kind of think to some degree that's what Zoe and I do. Like, we have fun talking about the stuff that we talk about and how it directly correlates to you as a sports fan. And yeah, I'll sit down here and I'll break down the swing of Julio Rodriguez and how I love that. Keep that eye on that swing and watch that left elbow, because that left elbow stays tight to the body until the shoulders are around, and then he kind of springs the left elbow to send the ball. I can break down the swing if you want, but what's more fun, the swing or talking about Julio popping out of nowhere, becoming a fan favorite? No, by the way, the Home Run Derby's in Seattle next year, a place he was going to be very familiar with hitting the baseball. That's the fun part to me. That's the fun part to me. And that, to me, that's to me why Kenny Mayne is great and why it was such a pleasant surprise to get to interview one of the best.
Again, so seriously, 20 years ago or whatever it was, anytime a serious question was asked of him as he drove around in the car at the Super Bowl, he handed the phone to his producer to answer the question, which was hilarious. So he never answered a serious question for us the entire time. So I started asking him questions. This is back when he was doing the lingerie bowl. So I started asking questions about the lingerie bowl. Started asking about the food setup at the Super Bowl. I just started asking a bunch of stuff like that.
And he stayed on for those.
He answered all those questions. My broadcast partner was mad because he worked really hard on his questions.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this going, okay, so this is how you handle this. You've just got to go with them.
So that, you know what that to me is? That's a gimmick that Kenny thought of and was like, oh, this is going to be hilarious, right? And I will tell you.
He was messing with what he considered probably a little podunk station in the middle of South Carolina. Yeah. And I got that, and I wasn't offended by it.
Not at all.
Because I thought it was hilarious.
Not at all. And again, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, one of the things that almost all of us in this gig do, we all have ideas like that. Wouldn't it be hilarious if? It's just most of us don't have the stones or clout to try it, right? We all have. How many times have Lonzo and I, sitting in the fortress of nerditude, been like, it'd be really funny. It'd be hilarious if we did on air. What if we did this? And both of us are like, ha ha ha. And then it's the next day and we're like, yeah, we're not doing that thing, right? That's a terrible idea, as hilarious as it might be. Like, what Kenny Mayne does an interview, and Kenny Mayne's like, yeah, I'm not answering a serious question. Here's my producer, Andrew. Answer this question for me. And Andrew, the producer, answers the question and then hands the phone back to Kenny. And Kenny's like, okay, next. And you realize, you as a host catch on to the game of, Kenny's not answering serious questions. We got to ask Kenny surreal, ridiculous questions, which now you got to do it. Because what are you going to do? Hang up on
And
Kenny
by the way,
Mayne?
the producer struggled with every one
I
of
have
those
no
questions.
doubt.
So
Which
you
made
could,
it funnier for Kenny.
yeah, because you could hear Kenny laughing as
Yeah.
he's trying to answer the questions. It was so great. It really was.
Because he knows, what are you going to do? Hang up on me? I'm Kenny Mayne. Because either A, you do, in which case it's even funnier to me, or B, you don't, and you've got to play my game now, right? You have to play my game. It's amazing. Anyway, thank you very much to Kenny Mayne. Thanks to the folks up at 2400 Sports for hooking us up with that interview. I suspect it won't be the last time we get Kenny Mayne on the show, as he will renew that podcast series later on in September. They got 12 episodes. They got 4 out so far, including Jamal Crawford, Chris Berman, Chris Guest, and who's the other? Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz, big Ben Schwartz guy. You know who Ben Schwartz is? Ben Schwartz, for those of you that don't know Ben Schwartz, is in 2 shows that if you have not watched it, you need to. He was in Space Force with Steve Carell, which is hilarious. I believe he's also in the Ben Stiller show that right now is out on Apple TV that everybody's talking about, and what's name I cannot recall right now. But I've heard of Severance. He's in Severance. And from what I understand, Severance is great. Ben Schwartz is in that. And if you're like me and you were a fan of Parks and Recreation, Ben Schwartz played John Ralphio on that show. He's the best. The best. Anyway, Ben Schwartz, Jamal Crawford, Chris Berman, and Christopher Guest. He just told us he's got another one dropping today, but would not tell us who it was. He's like, I'm not going to announce it till it goes live, which is fair. Because how many times have we pimped an interview? I got an email yesterday afternoon. Part of the reason that I did not hype that Kenny Mayne interview as much as I wanted to was because yesterday afternoon I got an email going, hey, Kenny's going to have to cut something for a podcast, so we're going to have to push those interviews till later in the week. And then I got an email 3 minutes before we went on air today. Oh, never mind, Kenny's good for today. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know. So,
All right. I hate to do this twice in one
but
show.
Mark's ping pong scores
All right.
out.
This is not an update on that.
Okay.
Shane Beamer has just owned Dabo Sweeney in a dance-off. And if you haven't seen the video, check it out. Dabo needs to put the pink blazer away and never dance again. Shane Beamer now owns South Carolina as far as dance goes.
Oh, no, go ahead and elaborate. Go ahead and get color commentary, play-by-play, whatever you want.
All I can say is you need to
sit back.
You need to check out the video because without a doubt, I watched the video without music, just like I saw the Dabo dance without music. And while Dabo kind of has rhythm in an all shucks kind of way, Beamer's got some moves, man. He does. He absolutely does. So you watch it without music and go, okay, yeah, but how's his timing? Then you watch it with music, and this thing it's tearing up. Even the Southeastern Conference has just tweeted it. This video is everywhere. Unlike Dabo's video, which is critiqued and should be, Beamer's video is he owns South Carolina right now. He does. And go ahead, texters. Yeah, but on the football, yeah, whatever. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the dance floor.
So I have seen both videos, and I'm going to start by saying the only thing Dabo did wrong was the pink fedora. All right, that was it. The pink blazer, dope. The pink shirt, the pink polo, dope. Loved it. The pink with the blue shorts, dope look. Absolutely. Top to bottom, I loved everything that Dabo had going on with that outfit until he put on the fedora. That being said, I'm not going to knock him for it because apparently he raised over $300,000 for breast cancer awareness, and I'm not going to take a dig at a dude for that.
Which is awesome. But
It's awesome.
But you can also critique someone's dance moves. Can he dance better than me? Probably, but we're not talking about me. We're talking about how the fact that Shane Beamer is everywhere right now. It's going viral. The video. Why? Because he owns South Carolina.
I will.
Don't come on the dance floor, Dabo, with Shane Beamer, because you'll leave crying.
I will say this. I will say this. I am getting progressively more excited for next year's Clemson Media Olympics for a couple of reasons. Number one, it will be the revenge tour of Lonzo on the air hockey table. Number two, the competition between this show and Offsides is going to be LIT, lit with a capital L. And number three, there's a good chance that I am going to challenge Dabo to a gritty off between Dabo and Lonzo, because in 364 days, Lonzo will have forgotten about that, and see if I can talk Dabo into an impromptu gritty off.
Rob Brown, do I forget? Really? You think I'm going to forget? But it's okay. I'm down for the dance off.
Will you gritty off with Dabo?
Ooh, I seem to have stubbed my toe. Here's my second Shane Beamer, who owns South Carolina right now when it comes to the dance. He is the Lord of the dance.
We might we might have to get both clips, put both clips together and see what the internet says. All right. Texter says, pork chop? How long did it take you to drop that moniker, pork chop?
1 year, because someone got they both got fired. So I was the only one left. So finally I could get rid of that, and then a new program director didn't make me stick with it. And I could go with my real name, which is Lonzo, by the way.
I'm going to go ahead and say you've made a grave mistake in revealing that nickname on this show.
I don't care. By the way, it's common knowledge, or it is for anyone who's listened to me.
I literally never heard that before.
Yeah, because I haven't had a chance to say it. I'm not ashamed of the fact that we worked really hard. Biscuit and I worked really hard to try to get our own show.
Did you guys go by pork chop and biscuit? Like, seriously, did you call each other that?
Yeah, we had
You're
to.
like, hey, biscuit.
We were required to
By
on the air
who?
by the program director, who thought it was hilarious.
Does that person still work here?
He's also the guy who started Jim Rome in his career. So, I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
Did he do that, or did he tell you he did that to get you to refer to refer to another grown man as Biscuit?
I enjoyed calling him Biscuit. I thought and the third member of our broadcast team was Tiny Tim. So, and Tiny Tim, whose name was Tim, hated it when I had our producer play Tiptoe Through the Tulips every once in a while, just to throw him off by Tiny Tim. I don't know if you've heard that version. It's awesome. There are people who go by fake names all the time. But again, yes, I called another guy Biscuit.
Did you fake a country accent when you did? Hey, y'all, welcome to the Pork Chop and Biscuit Show. We're going to talk. We got two things to talk about. Number one, South Carolina football. Number two, what's for supper?
I hadn't developed the turrets yet. That just came along later.
The Southern turrets?
Yeah, it just came along later. I mean, it was always back there because of my family, so no. But, on that fine program, I got to arm wrestle Storm from American Gladiators. So I have that experience. And I cheated, and I won. So, I mean, I also ended up with a bruise on my arm right here where she kept smacking me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to run to a break. My name's Chicken Ass Waffles. We're coming on back with the Chicken and Waffle Sports Show right after this, right here on the Fan Upstate. Love me some chicken and waffles.
Prisma.
Texter said, Lonzo, who is your programming director? Vince McMahon?
From the 106.3 WORD Weather Center, here's the update's most trusted forecast on the fan upstate. Few scattered showers and storms possible today, otherwise plenty of clouds and sunshine, develop to high 89. Tonight, slight chance for rain and storms, a low near 71. Wednesday, slight chance for showers and storms late, plenty of clouds and sunshine, develop to high 92. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Frucci on the fan upstate.
Oh, man, stream is slow today. Where are you guys at? I know it's Tuesday. I told you Tuesday's the worst day of the week. It is. Nobody wants to be alive on a Tuesday. Okay, that's dramatic. Nobody wants to be working on a Tuesday. Very dramatic. I get it. I take it back.
That sucks, Luke. I'm glad your power's back on, or I hope it is. And you can always, listen to the show again on the Odyssey app or at Fan Upstate's website, or you could even just watch it again here on Facebook or YouTube.
Options, baby.
You missed our interview with Kenny May.
Did. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it up right after the show, though.
Hey, Rob, do you know what day it is?
Oh, that's right. I did. I mean, I do, but I forgot.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if the prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to 4hims.com/joy and Hims will get a free medical consultation
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for an unfortunately abbreviated version of Faces and Heels, Lonzo's favorite segment of the week. So much he reminded me of it. Of course, he waited till I went way long in the last segment. That's not true. I need you people to know that Lonzo keeps this show together. I am a hot mess. If it weren't for Lonzo, we would somehow, I would somehow make this show more ridiculous than it is. But we got time for a couple here on the show. We'll start with this one. Guy's married, says that his wife is going back to her hometown. It's about 2.5 hours away from where they live for a meetup with some old high school girlfriends for a day. It's an overnight trip. Now they don't have anybody that still lives in the hometown that they could like stay with, but it's an overnight trip. She got a hotel room. And she told the husband that she wants him and their 2 kids, young kids, 3 and 5, to travel with her back to her old hometown. He said the itinerary is as follows. We would get there around noon on a day. She would spend about an hour and a half with us showing us around the town, and then run off with all of her girlfriends from her growing up days to go hang out in their hometown, effectively leaving me and the 2 kids in her hometown, not knowing where anything is, having nothing to do, literally until late that night when she got back to the hotel room. We would wake up the next morning and drive back. He said, yeah, I don't want to do that. She broke down. You don't want to come with me. You don't want to see where I'm from. You don't want to see where I grew up. You don't want to be a part of my hometown. And he's going, no, I'm fine with all of those things. I just don't want to go around for a 1-hour tour of your hometown and then get ditched into a hotel room with our 2 kids in a place I don't know to hang out while you go out and party with the girls. She is saying that he is unsupportive. He is saying if you want to go back to your hometown, we could do it as an actual vacation instead of us just being something to keep you occupied before you meet your girls. Face and heel.
Does this take place in Helen, Georgia?
In which case he would be the ultimate face for saying, no, I don't want to go to Helen. I don't care if she said, I just wanted to be me and you together on a romantic getaway weekend. And he went, where? And she went, Helen. And he went, nope. He's the face.
All right, so I think really not knowing where it is, I think that plays into it. So I'm going to go with her being the heel. If it was like the beach or something like that, and he's complaining about not knowing the place and knowing where to go, I mean, that's different. If he's going to Walhalla, South Carolina, I get it. Okay. If he's going to Dark Corner, I get it. There are some places here that you probably don't want to spend an hour, let alone a day at. But since we don't know where it is, I'm going to go with her as the heel.
I'm going to go with her as the heel too. I don't care where it's at. I don't care if it's a beach town, a luxury mountain town. 2 reasons. Number 1, taking care of one child under the age of 5 is a task. Taking care of 2 by yourself is a larger task. And the way this comes across, oh, yeah, I want to show you around my hometown for an hour and a half or so. And then I'm going to bail to go hang out with all my girlfriends, which, by the way, she didn't invite him to go. Now, if she's like, yeah, and then I want you to come with me and you can meet some of my older friends and we can all have dinner together, that's a different story, right? That's a family thing. But when she's like, no, then you can head out and do whatever you want to do with the kids while I go play with the girlfriends. Well, this is a girlfriend's trip. How do I know? You're spending an hour and a half with me and then the rest of the entire damn day with them. This is a trip for you and your girls. In fact, if anything, I would say he's a bigger heel because in this situation, he's like, listen, I'm going to take the kids. I got both of them. I'm going to do it by myself. Don't you worry. I'm going to stay here, keep them in the house where everybody's safe and comfortable and calm so that you can go out. You can enjoy your time with your girls. You can enjoy your friend time in your old hometown. Go do your thing, right? Because the alternative is he's like running around in her hometown where he's never been before. And if she's a decent mom and wife, she's doing what? Every 30, 45 minutes, she's like, hey, are you good? Where are you? Do you need anything? Can I give you any thoughts? Like, blah, 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 blah. He's going, nah, I want you to go do your thing with your girls. He's the ultra heel here. Ultra heel. All right.
All right, I'm confused because first you said it was her and then you said it was him.
I mean face, not heel. Sorry.
Okay.
He's the ultra face.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
he's the ultra
all right.
face. That's on me. That's my bad. All right. Yeah, no, he's a big time face here. All right, last one. Guy is talking to his 10-year-old son. He says his mom and I broke up when he was 2 years old. We were never married. Basically, the deal was that we were physically attracted to each other. We did the things that physically attracted people do to each other's. We ended up having a kid. And we basically tried to flesh out the relationship after the child was born. But at the end of the day, we were just physically attracted to each other, and that was pretty much it. Says, we share custody. The only times I'm ever really around her or that we're both together co-parenting in the same place is like, Christmas, his birthday, the holidays, whatever. He says, I'm very honest with my kid. I don't see much of a reason to give him a bunch of word salad answers to questions. Last week, he asked what happened between his mom and I. Why aren't mom and dad together? I told him, and these are his words directly from the survey, quote, I told him that his mom is one of those people where if she's not choreographing and directing everything around her, she's not happy. I told him I just felt like I was losing myself the more I was around her. I thought it was a pretty tame answer. I didn't rant, rave, cuss up a storm or anything. I also assumed he'd keep it between us. Last night, I got a phone call from my ex telling me that in the heat of an argument with her about cleaning up his room, he let it fly about what I said. She said I should have passed on the question. Then he told her he asked it so that we could be on the same page as an answer. My point to her was, I don't believe I said anything toxic or outlandish. She had me talk to him, and told me to apologize. I refused to do so. Face and heel.
He's the heel, especially if he believes, and we don't know the age of the kid, but
10.
Okay, he's 10. So you believe a 10-year-old's not going to say something when you tell him not to. That makes you a heel right there. Plus, just say we just didn't get along. I mean, you being specific is you're giving him fuel to use against his mom, which is apparently where he lives the majority of the time. So it looks like you're just trying to get at her through him. So he's the heel.
I'm going to agree with you on this. He is the heel here. Now, he's not the heel for feeling the way that he feels. I get that. I've been in that relationship before, my guy. He's not the heel for feeling the way that he feels. I have dated some controlling-ass women, just like there are controlling-ass men. He's been in that situation before. Or I've been in that situation where I get it. There is a time, maybe, when a kid gets older, right, where you can talk about that. When they get to be, and here's the thing. And I'm not a dad, but if I would be the same way. I want my kid to know the truth. I want my kid to understand how the world works, how to rationalize, how to
You also
learn,
need to know the maturity of the child and what you can say to them when.
Sure. 10 years old? No, not at 10. You can't drop that bomb about mom at 10 years old, because on the flip side, he goes back and he says, Mom, why did you and Pops break out? Right? Like, she might say something just as bad. At the end of the day, at that spot, you got to go, look, at the point in time that we had you, we were happy. And then one day we realized we were just two different people. And unfortunately, sometimes as people grow, as people mature, they change. They change as people, and we just grew apart from each other. And that's okay. It's going to happen. We both still love you, blah, 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 blah. You do all that. And then down the line when the kid's an adult, maybe you can answer that question a little more adult-like. But you got to do it on a fair playing ground, right? You got to go, we got to have this conversation with your mom too, so that we can both tell you what our problems individually were, and you can see how relationships work if you want to go in that direction. But no, the dude, I started this thinking I was going to say the wife's the heel for being like, oh, you have to apologize, and you should have, and you should have, and you should have, because it just kind of plays into what the guy said, right? Like, you're going to tell me how I should parent my kid, but then I really got into why she felt that way, and I'm like, oh, no, she's actually got a point. She's actually got a point. She's not saying you should do this. She's saying you should do this so that the dynamic of co-parents can, because now he's what? Mom's the bad guy, right? Mom's the bad guy who tried to direct dad around and made it worse for dad. Mom's the bad guy, and she's got to deal with that now from a 10-year-old. And I've been around 10-year-olds. They suck. Except you that's listening right now. You're a cool 10-year-old because you're listening to us. Backed myself into a corner there, didn't I? Thanks, buddy. That's a bailout. 1 segment left. Twitter trending topics to wrap up Tuesday. Remember, tomorrow I will be live in Charlotte, North Carolina. ACC Media Days taking place tomorrow. I'll have the breakdown of, well, ACC Media Days live from ACC Media Days tomorrow morning on the show. Rob Lonzo, you back after this to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Delicious breakfast available at our Hilton family of brands. Hilton for the stay.
Just waiting on RVER, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
Hey, Chief, we got a damaged RV on its way to the OR.
Well, that sounds like a job for the new head of RV surgery.
Wait, are you promoting me?
Congrats, Martinez.
That RV's flatlining.
Well, that sounds like the job for the new head of nursing.
So you're just promoting everyone now.
Yeah, what's up, baby?
When your RV really needs saving, Progressive has you covered. See if you could save with a leader in RV insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
In the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is fast asleep, you're the one on third shift, burning midnight oil. When a part fails and everything comes to a grinding halt, regardless of what the clock on the wall says, you leap into action. Granger is with you and all the ones who get it done, with 24/7 customer support by phone or click to chat. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
As a kid out of Navarre, a pitcher drafted by the Mariners yesterday, and his nickname is the Vanilla Missile. And I like it. I know that guy.
All right, time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internets all over the world, all over the universe, possibly in several universes, metaverses, whatever. The first thing that's trending is Toys R Us.
What, do they still exist? Are they like only an online store now?
They physically no longer exist,
Okay.
or they didn't
Right?
until now.
Oh, do we have a new one?
So, according to stories, Toys R Us will return. Toys R Us's are returning in physical form in Macy's stores coming this fall, or coming this Christmas season, because of how much toy sales picked up during the pandemic.
I mean, I believe it. Like, why not, right? I mean,
I miss Toys R Us. I really do.
I
would love to just go to Toys R Us and just walk
I
around.
don't know when the last time I was in a Toys R Us is, but I also know.
Well, it's been a while because they've been gone for a couple
Okay,
years.
rephrase that. I don't know when the last time I went to a toy store is. I'm not talking like a comic book store that has toys. I'm talking about like a toy
Because they don't
store.
have them anywhere.
Yeah. So when the lady friend and I went to New York last year, the first thing that there were like three things that I had to do, like outside of the traditionally tourist stuff. I wanted to hit the Lego store, which was insane. I wanted to hit obviously Yankee and Fenway. We didn't get the Yankee Stadium. That's next on the list. We did get Fenway, which is in Boston, not New York. I get it. Shut up. And I wanted to hit FAO Schwartz, which is like the last toy store in America. We did not make it to FAO Schwartz. We saw it, but we just didn't have time to hit it because we had to get to the 9/11 Memorial to take our tour there. And it was a bit of a bummer. But I can't think, like, the vast overwhelming majority of things I buy in that department now are all online and just shipped straight to the house.
Yeah, but one thing about Toys R Us or toy stores in general was the fact that you could actually pick the toy up. Just like any product that you buy online now, one size doesn't fit all. It's not as big as pictured. They find actors with really small hands. So, but actually going inside of a store, and I know it may sound like an old guy here, but going inside of a store and actually picking the product up, you can still order it online if you want, but now you go, okay, this has some weight to it. It looks like it's pretty durable. I'll go ahead and buy it cheaper somewhere else, but at least you got to hold on to it.
Yeah, the other thing is, I'd be lying to say it. When I say toy, like I'm talking like I've got like a Gene Simmons Kiss action figure that sits on my.
Those aren't toys; they're action figures.
See, but that's what I would buy there.
Right.
So anyway, all right. What else we got?
All right. The next thing is trending is Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder. So I saw something earlier that said that like Remember the big thing after Justice League was everybody wanted the Snyder cut because Justice League sucked as a movie. And then everybody was like, well, if anybody can save it, it's Zack Snyder. Give us the Snyder cut. Well, now there were stuff. I don't know who reported this, but like a large chunk of the release the Snyder cut army that resulted in the Snyder cut getting released years later were bots. They were basically bots written by a handful of Zack Snyder fans who wanted the cut. And so they wrote a bunch of bots to just incessantly tweet, release the Snyder cut, and get it trending over and over, and it worked.
Well, bots are evil because they are a form of AI to some
They're not.
degree.
They're programming. They're not AI at all. There's no intelligence.
As far as we know, they could have been
They do what
alive
they're told.
and decided to take on the fact that the Snyder Cut was better, which it was, by the way.
Yes,
it was better
it
than
couldn't have been worse.
Yes, but there are also reports out there that Zach might have been involved in the bots happening, not just fans.
Oh,
Yes.
gotcha.
Which is one of the major reasons why it's trending. The next thing's trending is Deshaun Watson.
I saw Deshaun was trending earlier, and I'm assuming it's connected to the fact that rumors from Mary Kay Cabot and others are swirling that Cleveland is very close to signing another quarterback, which would lead them to believe that Deshaun's getting suspended a year. And then reports came out that if Deshaun does cop the 1-year suspension, he would sue the National Football League and create a whole nother round
All
of
right,
issues.
so this is why it's trending, because of the possibility of a lawsuit has the so-called experts believing and making a trend that Deshaun will only get 2 to 8 weeks.
Not a chance.
Yeah, this story
If
goes
they give
back
him a
and
year,
forth.
he's sitting
So
a year, yeah.
it goes back and forth so much. I think for some reason they just want to keep it, out there.
Yep, I agree.
He needs to get at least a year, or it's going to look bad on the NFL, which we've discussed many times. So.
Yeah, but will it matter? Question mark. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Jim Rome's up next in the Jungle. Mark Ryan and Diesel are in to take you off sides at 3 o'clock. Make sure you listen to that because Diesel's going to smack talk a lot.
And he should, because he smoked Mark Ryan a Papa Shot. Make sure you remind him of that. 3 to 7 today. Text it as much as you can, 71307.
Yeah, just repeatedly text in asking Mark, how did he do at Papa Shot today? Please. Tomorrow, live from ACC Media Days in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll be there. And then live from Chelsea and Charlotte FC. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at The Rob Brown Show. For Lonzo, that's that good-looking guy over there. I'm Rob. Back here tomorrow. I won't be back here. He'll be tomorrow on The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, stream. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Have a lovely rest of your day. We will see you back here